AIA Vitality. Your health is every choice you make. We are part of a global wellness program with over 1.65 million members in AIA across Asia. And in Singapore, we have more than 100,000 members on AIA Vitality. Members live healthier by knowing their health through online health assessments and screenings. They improve their health by logging exercises and enjoying the rewards to keep them going. And indeed, members are making improvements in their health. Even the vitality age gap has narrowed to less than a year. Best of all, you earn points for every activity. The higher your status, the greater the rewards, including up to 15% off insurance premium on selected AIA plans. To keep you going, there is the weekly fitness challenge, with personalized targets to help pace and improve your fitness. When you complete the challenge, you get a spin on the Vitality Wheel to earn Vitality Coins, which you can use at the marketplace. That's not all. You also earn AIA Vitality Points for completing these activities. And very soon, you'll be on your way to Platinum status. And we sweeten the deal further with many exciting partner benefits that you can enjoy. With AIA Vitality, nothing gets better than a healthier you. So get onto AIA Vitality today because your health is every choice you make.
It's a Sunday sunset showdown in the AIA Singapore Premier League. Last weekend, an injury-ravaged Eagles came close to causing the shock of the season so far as they ran the mighty Sailors tight at Jalan Besar. They'll be looking to their Brazilian maestro Maresh to get them back to winning ways tonight. While the Cheetahs come to OTH having edged the 7-goal thriller with Balestier. Their star striker, Tomoyuki Doi, has gone 2 games without a goal for the first time this season. Will the Dynamo Doi get back on scoring track tonight? When the teams met back in March, the Cheetahs recovered from going behind early on. So what happens tonight? You're about to find out. Geylang International against Hougang United. And it is live. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the East Coast of Singapore. We're live at our Tampines hub for match week 10 in the AIA Singapore Premier League. It's the Eagles of Geylang International against the Cheetahs, Hougang United. What a weekend it's already been, and what a weekend it promises to continue to be tonight. Yesterday, 6 goals here as the Stags wiped the floor with Balestier Kausa. Congratulations to young Mark Ryan Tan, his first 2 goals in professional football. A new legend is born in the MRT. Albirex Nagata edging the Young Lions. That was much closer than many people thought it would be, but the White Swans guarantee they'll still be top ahead of the last round of matches next week before the international break. The Sailors take on Tanjung Pagar. That game is also live from Jalan Besar on Singtel StarHub, the AIA Singapore Premier League Facebook page, and One Play Sports, but we focus on matters here, where it's 6th taking on 4th. A win for Geylang will see them leapfrog Balestier Kausa. Hougang really needing the 3 points if they want to maintain their status as realistic title challengers. In fact, it's a very big 7 days for Hougang. They take on Geylang here today, and they take on Tampines here next Sunday. Looking forward to calling the action alongside me, former SPL player and AFC ambassador extraordinaire, Roshan Rai. And Rosh, well, we had some goal fest here yesterday. Do you think we'll get more of the same here today?
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, there's lots of attacking quality, I would say, and we've seen defensively, especially with Geylang, they can commit a few errors at times. They're a little bit loose. So I hope we're in for a bit of a goal fest, an entertaining contest.
Of course, Roshan and myself maintaining our social distance. We've got the masks on as well. That's the key message here. We know fans are frustrated. They can't come into the stadiums, but stay home and stay safe. We'll make sure you've got the best seat in the house watching the games live on Singtel StarHub or on your smart devices. Well, let's talk about Geylang and that game. I was lucky enough to be there last weekend. They gave the Sailors some scare, really. I mean, two terrible mistakes for the first couple of goals. And in my opinion, Geylang had the better chances to actually win the game in the end.
It was almost a similar sort of situation to that 8-0 hammering that they had against the Lion City Sailors, where the first 20 minutes or so, Geylang International were actually very good in that game. Just couldn't take their opportunities. And then those individual errors, that one from Darren Tay initially, that Stevie Plazibat was able to pounce on, very good finish. And then this one here from Hassan Sani, who has been making a few big mistakes for the Lion City Sailors. Moresh was on there, on hand there to pounce and put that one in the back of the net. I thought at large parts, you know, Barry Maguire and Ichikawa in central defense did okay, especially when you consider the fact that Maguire had to fill in that central defensive role. Ultimately, the individual quality of the Lion City Sailors coming through. We saw Saifullah there with a wonderful shot from range, ending up in the back of the net. A big 3 points for the Lion City Sailors as well. The first match without Vinmar in charge. They want to keep their title charge intact as well. But for Geylang, yes, a disappointing result. But performance-wise, it was actually pretty decent. And they'll be hoping for more of the same here against Hougang.
Incidentally, on the Lion City Sailors, they played live, of course, tonight as well. Harris Harun coming back to Singapore. He rejoins the Lion City Sailors, was previously at home. Won't, though, be part of the matchday squad until after the international break, which comes after next weekend's round of fixtures. Now, here's a controversial talking point. Never mind your $3 million Diego Lopez. I think the 22-year-old Brazilian Moresh has been the most exciting and arguably, bearing in mind the team he's playing for, most influential player, new player in the league this season. Yeah. 3 braces and that goal against the Sailors. He gives you that X factor, doesn't he? He's the kind of player that even if the rest of his teammates are having a bad day, he can bail them out.
7 goals so far, as you see there. Scored 5 in the last 3 matches for Geylang International. And look, I don't think initially when he was signed, he was supposed to be the out-and-out striker. He was supposed to become Valius. So Moresh has actually had to fill in for them up front, and he's been doing that really well. And you consider the fact that he's got 12 goals this season in the league. Moresh has got 7 of those, a big contribution in terms of that goal scoring front. I like his movement across the forward line. He's still a very young man as well, but he's come in, he's made an immediate impact with this Geylang International side, and with him around, they have that goal threat, they have that quality to get themselves in those attacking positions to score goals. They have talent in those attacking areas. They're good on the ball. They do create chances, Geylang International. You just worry about their balance defensively. I mean, 24 goals conceded, and that's something that Noor Ali has touched on over the last few weeks or so. That's something we've looked at over the last few weeks or so as well. He still hasn't seemed to have found the balance at the moment. But let's see if he can in this game.
They, by the way, will have Convalius on the bench today, having not been in the squad last weekend. Silvano Convalius gives them an option off the bench. He could certainly do a job maybe against a tiring Hougang in the last quarter of the game. Before you move on to Hougang, must also mention, obviously, Harris Harun has been getting all the headlines, and rightly so, for coming back to Singapore from Malaysia, but also coming back to Singapore in the last week. We mentioned it on the broadcast last weekend. Abbas Saad, he's here to do his pro licence diploma, but as part of that, he's going to be assisting Noor Ali. Of course, Abbas Saad, part of the famous 1994 Malaysia Cup winning team, and some coup for Geylang if he becomes part of the setup.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he gets on here. You know, as part of the requirement for doing your pro license, you need to be attached to a professional club, and that's part of why he's come to an agreement with Geylang to be an assistant coach here as well. There's been a reshuffle with Geylang's assistants, with Noor Ali's assistants. You know, Hidayat Kamis is not really involved anymore. V. Kanan has also come in into the situation, so they're looking to try and just reshuffle it a little bit in the back room. I'm not quite sure how much influence Abbas Saad is going to have on a day-to-day basis. It remains to be seen. Yep. But you know, look. He's a name that's come in, it's generated interest, and that's good. But we don't have too much to build on in terms of previous coaching experience. So let's see what happens as the weeks go on.
I can tell you, having worked with Abbas on the media side extensively over the last decade, I can tell you, not just a pretty face, he is a walking encyclopedia of football. And I'm sure Noor Ali will be pleased to welcome him into the camp to add some assistance. Right, Hougang, let's turn our attention to them. They were involved in a 7-goal thriller. Not the same team, let's be honest, in recent weeks that beat the Sailors and Tampines convincingly in back-to-back victories. They edged this one, but only just.
Yeah, again, it was a situation where they sort of made things a little bit difficult for themselves, you know, going behind, and then Kashu Yamazaki getting them back on level terms with that strike from range. They had potential in this game, but there were moments of potential in this game where you thought, you know, Hougang were in control. They were looking very good in those attacking areas, counter-attacking swiftly. I really like what Idraki has been doing for them this season. Always a very good outlet in those transition moments. Can play out on the left-hand side or on the right. He's not afraid to take players on and beat them. You can see there he's got that ability to beat his defender and then get himself a goal in that situation. It was good for them that Shawal is also back in the side now because he's always a big threat for them in attack.
3-1 up there, back to 3-3. Only just won it. They needed a last-gasp Tomoyuki Doi equaliser to get a point against the Young Lions. They are still in their pitching, though. The 3 points very important to them. And having given you the news about Geylang's coaching staff as well, Firdaus Kasim, who I think Clement will be the first to say already this season has been a big influence in the dressing room. He's now officially the assistant manager of Hougang. Han Yingguang is now taking over Firdaus' position with the youth team, a former teammate of yours.
Yes, used to play together at Ballister Khalsa actually, and it's great to see. I mean, these career paths for some of our ex-players, some of our ex-footballers. They work hard, they get opportunities. Been promoted to the head of youth development at Hougang, so let's see how it gets on. And
one more appointment, Harirul Almin is now in charge of the fitness. Now, so many players that fascinate me in this matchup. I've mentioned Maresh, but Roshan Rai, as he always does, has cast his beady eye over the player he thinks you need to keep a special eye on tonight. Who do you think it is, Roshan, this week?
I think it's going to be Kashu Yamazaki. I think he's someone that deserves a lot of attention and deserves a lot of credit. He has been a regular for Hougang. And I have to reiterate this. If you're a foreign player, if you're a foreign signing, you're there to make a difference, and your availability is so important. It's crucial that you're available to play because you're one of those players in there who's supposed to take your team to that next level, give your team an X factor, and that's what he's done for them. 1 goal, 5 assists so far for them. He's always looking to try to drive the game for them from those central midfield positions. He will get on the ball at times when he needs to dribble it past a couple of players. He can do that as well. And he's always looking to try and play those passes in behind for the likes of Tomoyuki Doi, for his attacking players in those areas. And also his contribution on that defensive front. For me, he's got that profile of a real box-to-box talent. It's going to be fascinating to see how he gets on in terms of that battle here against maybe Barry Maguire, who might be playing in central midfield, against Kashu Yamazaki. That's going to be a fascinating one to keep an eye out on. Yeah,
when you think Maresh is going to be Geylang's most influential player, and he's got that X factor, Yamazaki far more functional as a player, reliable, dependable. Going to be interesting, because I can tell you something based on what happened here yesterday. If you lose the midfield battle, you're going to get beat. That's what happened yesterday. Kiki Krajcek didn't get a kick against Nakamura and Mamidovic of Tampines. Right, stay with us. Coming back, more big match build-up is on the way. We're at OTH, Geylang and Hougang, just moments away. Welcome back live to our Tampines Hub. Kick-off minutes away between Geylang International and Hougang. Can the Cheetahs keep up their title charge, or will Geylang get a win to start a climb up the table? These two teams, well, they've always been, haven't they? No disrespect to either of them, kind of mid-table rivals. An interesting game when they met first time this season. We'll have a look at that in a minute. But prior to that Hougang win in March of this year, Geylang have owned this fixture. I cast my mind back to that game in March 2020 when they were gifted Geylang 2 goals. I think both of them free kicks from Van Heusen or long-range efforts. But yeah, that win that we're just about to look at now, Roshan, for Hougang, backed the recent trend because, and Geylang, even that one were gifted an early lead as well. We were there.
Yeah, we were there, and it was a good game and great response from Hougang. After losing their first match of the season, they had to bounce back and they provided a really good response here. And it was Geylang who actually you were thinking that would come into this, being on a high, having won their first game against Tanjung Pagar. Got off to a great start here with that goal. Emi Reka with a bit of a gift from Mukundan. But Hougang really sort of stole the show then, you know, this brilliant in attack. The pairing of Gilberto Fortunato and Tomoyuki Doi was excellent. Unfortunately for Hougang, Gilberto has still been out injured for large parts of the season for them. And that's a bit of a shame because, again, as I mentioned, we talk about Yamazaki and his availability for them. They haven't quite had that for Fortunato up front, but still, the fact that they're getting goals, great one from Hafiz Sujat there in that situation. It's been a pretty decent form for them, I have to say, over the last couple of weeks or so. Was great to see, and it was really sort of this game that gave Hougang that momentum to go on a nice little run. And now we're thinking about them as, you know, potential perhaps title challenges, yes, but they're still fighting as well for continental competition places for next season.
They want to get back in the AFC Cup, having missed out because Geylang nabbed that place. Of course, Geylang have their AFC Cup clashes on the horizon, hopefully here later in June. Incidentally, on Gilberto Fortunato, who we saw score there, I spoke to Matthew Taylor, does a wonderful job as the GM of Hougang earlier. He is coming back to full fitness, but they don't want to risk him before the international break, so we will see more of Gilberto. Right, let's get down pitch side. Our little superstar, Farah Naya, has caught up with both managers. We'll hear from Clement Teo after Farah has a chat with the birthday boy. Happy birthday, Noor Ali.
Thank you, Patrick. Now, Noor Ali, firstly, happy birthday. I'm sure you want nothing more than all 3 points today to get back to winning ways. But Hougang United for you here today, how huge is this one?
I mean, of course, it's a very important game, you know, because, we started the round with a win against Young Lions in the second round, and then, you know, we were a bit unlucky against LCS with the 2-1. I think we have to get back to winning ways. I think it's very important at this point of time because we have to start collecting points from now.
Now, the last time out, even though you lost, you said that you were proud of your boys and you believed that you were the better side against the Sailors. What would you want to bring forward from that for today?
I think there's a lot of positive things that happens in the LCS game, but I think what's important is the desire. Because I told the boys, you know, it's going to be a hard and long season this year, you know, with what we have faced through the first round. But I think the desire to win must be there back, you know, and you must have that feeling of winning again, you know. So I think it's a very important game for us. So we definitely want to go out there and fight for the 3 points.
Now, we haven't seen Silvano Convelius for some time. Today, though, he's back on the bench. But just talk us through your starting 11 overall.
I mean, Convelius has been out through on an 8 days medical leave because of flu, you know. So he has been back in training the last 2 days, you know. Hopefully, you will see a bit of him tonight, you know, because he's still not match fit to play the 90 minutes. But saying that, I think I will just keep the same team that has performed well against LCS, you know. So let's see how it goes tonight.
Clement, huge one today. You're up against Geylang International. What are your thoughts going into this?
I mean, Geylang is a very good side. We have seen them, and for Sailors to come back to beat them 2-1, I think it is something that we have shown that they are particularly a good side. So, in fact, every team in the league is there's always something to fight for. You know, there's no easy teams to play in this league.
You, of course, are on the back of that win over Balestier, but after that game, you said that you felt you were a little complacent and perhaps outplayed in some phases. Was that exactly what you worked on ahead of today?
I mean, yeah, it is true. It is a fact. I mean, those who watched the game knew and understood. But of course, we had a week, so we are doing a lot of corrections. We have basically instilled certain discipline in our boys and to get started and work even harder.
I know you have your fair share of injuries coming into this one, so how will you be lining up here?
Well, we'll be lining up basically the same team. Yeah, just a change with Shawal coming in. And the rest of them are basically the same.
Clement, thank you. Good luck.
All right, thanks.
Well, one thing I do know about Noor Ali, he's unbeaten as a 46-year-old. head coach, so maybe he can get that birthday present he wants, which is the 3 points. They both talk a good game. Let's check in with those team lineups, shall we, Roshan? Because a couple of changes to both starting 11s from the games that were played last time out. For Geylang International, well, I think on paper, a stronger lineup. Ilhan Noor, by the way, Noor Son made a good debut last week against the Sailors. They've got Ikram Rifki back available. He's on the bench. Faisal Roslan also comes back. He's going to be a huge addition for them. And the other player coming in is Harith Kanadi, who I'm told may be only good enough for about 45 minutes to an hour. I've been really impressed in the early part of the season with Harith Kanadi, maybe just tailed off a bit. And I think there's an argument to say that Geylang have got a stronger bench than Hougang today.
Yeah, perhaps. You know, I think Geylang have had issues with injuries this season. It's been very difficult for Noor Ali, but it's a big plus for them. It's a big boost that Harith is coming in at left back. Faisal Roslan coming back into the lineup. And you look at this Hougang United side as well, Patrick, made a couple of changes as well from the last game.
Yeah, Shawal Anwar comes in, Roshan, as does Farhan Sulkifli. So, yeah, a stronger lineup for them as well. And to be fair, I'm not decrying Hougang United's bench. They've both got game changers, both teams on the bench today. And as Apton, of course, is a familiar face to many. Shawal Ishak might reignite some of his former glories. So, all-round, strong match-day squads. And that's not always been the case. Teams are suffering with the under-23 rule, with injuries. It's unusual to see two teams with comparable substitutes benches this season.
Yeah, you got Shafiq Ghani there as well on that Hougang bench, who can come in and make an impact in those attacking areas. I look at it and I think this is such an exciting game because of the lineups here. Again, there's so much in terms of the attacking talent on the pitch. It's how they find that balance in this match. Especially for Geylang. Can they cut out those individual errors that have plagued their game over the last few weeks or so? If so, they will create opportunities for themselves. Morash being in the goal-scoring form, Tomiyuki Doi as well. Didn't score in his last game. He scored 4 goals. He wasn't on the score sheet. It's not often that you see your side scoring 4 goals and Tomiyuki Doi not being one of the names.
I mean, the good news for the neutral, if you want a bit of an action-packed 90 minutes on the way, there's one scoreline I can't imagine, 0-0. We've only had one of those this season, Albrechts and Balestier. No result would surprise you here other than 0-0, really.
Yeah, I think you're right to point that out. Again, we looked at some of the past matches as well. There was a 4-all, there was a 2-all, there was a 4-1 earlier this season. So I think we will have goals in this one. I hope I haven't just jinxed it yet. I knock on wood and knock on you if I could. Socially distancing, of course, so I can't. But I think we should have goals in here. Again, you look at the players that they've got in there. Tomiyuki Doi, Shawal, I think is going to make a big difference for them in those attacking positions. Just with his pace that he has, running into the channels, running in perhaps behind Darren. And if Harith, as you said, is struggling a little bit with fitness issues, that's going to be a big test for him down that left-hand side, in that left fullback position, with the pace that Hougang have, especially with Idraki, another one. You know, you give him the ball, he looked to try and take his defender on, and I'm looking forward to some of these individual battles, especially that midfield battle that we highlighted earlier.
We saw a goalkeeping mistake early on in the fixture that they played in March. Big night for Sander Surajin. He had a great game against the Lion City Sailors, some stunning reflex saves, but the Sailors were poor. He wasn't really stretched, so he's going to have to step up. Prediction time. Roshan Rai, what are the scores on the doors here at OTH this Sunday night?
Oh, look, yeah. Oh, it's a tough one to say, really. I'm going to go with the Hougang win. I'm going to go 3-2 to Hougang.
3-2 Hougang. A 5-goal thriller, maybe more on the way. We had 6 here yesterday. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a couple of moments as the teams arrive out onto the service here. Don't forget to stay home, watch the game with us in the comfort of your living room. Keep those masks on when you go out and maintain social distancing. Stay safe, everyone. Kickoff's coming up next. Welcome back live to our Tampines Sub kickoff and team arrival just a couple of moments away on this sunset Sunday in the AIA Singapore Premier League. Very big 3 points up for grabs for someone. I think, Roshan, it's the kind of game, I know we're only 10 games in and you always giving me stick for asking who's going to win the league, even though we're a third of the way through the season, past a third of the way now. But a draw's really, in the position they're in now, not good for either of these teams. They both badly need the 3 points for very different reasons.
You're right. You're absolutely right to point that out. And again, you're saying you're looking at another couple of games, hopefully, before we go into the international break. It can give you a big boost going into that. You know, you want to try and end on a high if you can. For Hougang, as I said, you know, coming into this season, perhaps no one was really sort of taking them seriously in terms of a title challenge. But you looked at them and you think, yeah, they're a top 4 side in the SPL, and they should be perhaps challenging for a continental spot. So that's something that they will have ambitions of. They will want to get themselves back into the AFC Cup. And it starts here against Geylang. And for Geylang, I mean, really, when you look at them on paper, when you look at the lineups, when you look at the players who should normally be available to them, yes, they've had issues with injuries. Yes, those have been concerns for Noor Ali. It's always very difficult to sort of deal with as a coach when you don't have your strongest lineups out. But now we're starting to see players coming back for them. Hopefully, they'll want to show that they're a lot better than the position says at the moment.
Just waiting for the match officials to lead the players out. Our match officials for today, referee Nathan Chan. He's been one of the referees of the season for me. Jansen Fu had a great game here yesterday, incidentally. He's assisted by Tan Min Kai, Liu Hyung Wei and Farhad Mohammed. So that's the officiating team. The players will be trotting out very shortly. And going back to the names on paper for these two teams, that should really give them a right to be in there punching with some of the bigger guns. Let's not get carried away. The Sailors and Tampines in recent times and with their resources have arguably, you know, given themselves the expectation of being in the first couple. But the signing of Tomoyuki Doi, I think, slipped under the radar to a certain extent because it was a late call, and with all the attention on Diego Lopez and George Felipe for the Lion City Sailors, Doi almost slipped under the radar.
Such a good signing that he's turned out to be. And even, I'd say, Yamazaki from Lion City Sailors, you know, having to play in central defense with the Sailors last season, they didn't want to retain him. It wasn't really his best position. But he's showing here that, you know, he's spoken about, you know, I want to play in central midfield. And when you put him there, that's what you get from him. You get numbers. He's producing quality in that position. And he's got a really good understanding with Tomoyuki Doi up front as well. I mean, what a signing these guys have been. And there's talent around the league if you look at it. You don't need to go out and spend $3 million.
And what you also have to factor into Hougang is they've got 2 title winners in their side, with Tomoyuki Doi, who won it last year, and Kaishu Yamazaki, who won it in 2018. And bearing in mind it's been a Brunei and Albirex lockout in recent seasons. Not many clubs, Singaporean clubs, have title winners in their ranks. There is the arrival of Geylang International, number 42, this goalkeeper making his second start today, Sander Surajan. Only conceded 2 against the Lion City Sailors. I said only 2 because the Sailors are red-hot favourites for that game. And there's Barry Maguire, was a wonderful makeshift centre-back. If Maguire can click with Maresh and maybe get better service to Maresh, because he was living on scraps to a certain extent last week at times, they really are going to be a goal-scoring threat. I fancy both teams are getting the score sheet today, Roshan.
Yeah, I think so. Again, as we said in our build-up, I think there are going to be goals in this one. And what's going to really help Geylang here, obviously Barry Maguire coming back into the side after his hamstring injury has helped them in those midfield areas. Here, being pushed back from that central defense position that he had against Lion City Sailors, having to fill in that back four, being pushed into midfield here. He will contribute in terms of the chance creation numbers in this game here. I mean, he's got that box-to-box profile about him. He'll pick up the ball, try and run with it through midfield. Very aggressive in the tackle as well.
And incidentally, I need to check this. I've got a feeling today, I'm sure Tenki or some of the team at the FAS would know this, that this is Yuki Ichikawa's 200th SPL appearance. I think it may be. I read an article, a great article on the FAS media channels with Ichikawa, and I know it was 198 before the Sailors game, so it could be 200 up for Yuki Ichikawa, who's one of those rare breed of Japanese players that hasn't come from the Albirex Nagata setup. There's the Geylang International starting lineup. Harith Kennedy comes back in with Faisal Roslan as well. 2 big additions to that Geylang team that gave the Sailors something to think about last week, and lots of options on the bench with Chris Van Heusen joined by Ikram Rifki and of course Silvano Comvalius. What a player to be able to bring on for a 20-minute push. There's the famous Geylang huddle with Noor Ali on his 46th birthday, leading the way. The boys in blue now. Let's check in with their starting lineup. Shawal Anwar back in, Farhan Zulkifli, and again, quality all through that lineup. And Maksat, the defender there, one of the most improved players in the league this season.
I think Maksat has been fantastic for Hougang in central defence. He's got a nice little partnership Lionel Tan in those positions, and Mark Saad is just a little bit of character from Noor Ali there, blowing flying kisses. Let's see if he's in a good mood at the end of this game. But going back to Mark Saad, who I think he reminds me of this throwback to a very old school kind of defender who's defend first, worry about that possession game
Steve
sort of
Bruce.
later. He goes
Steve
in
Bruce
hard,
style.
aggressive in his challenges, and it's great to see.
Clement, who officially now is assisted by Firdaus Qasim, who's been very influential, that he say, in the Hougang United setup. Congratulations to Firdaus rising through the ranks. And again, going back to that conversation earlier with Matthew Tay, who assured me that Gilberto Fortunato is on the way back to full fitness. He also said that's a plan from Geylang. They've got their succession lined up when Clement steps aside, because I think Clement has had some health issues in recent years. Firdaus Qasim is going to be in pole position to take over. So Hougang are planning for the future. But for now, both Geylang International and Hougang United need to worry about the now. Can they pick up 3 precious points in their bid to try and catch up with the big boys at the top of the table? Remember, whatever happens in the other game that's kicking off simultaneously to this at Jalan Besar, the White Swans of Albrecht will go into round 11 as league leaders, as Maresh with his pre-match ritual of looking to the gods for inspiration. Can he improve on his 7-goal tally already this season? It's Geylang International in the green and white playing from left to right. Hougang in the blue playing from right to left. An early ball from Isdin going long, and the clearance not entirely convincing. Comes straight out to Barry Maguire, and Geylang making inroads early. Here's Amy down the left, goes down to the byline. He might keep this in. Did it go out? It did. And just as well, because the effort came in from Faris Farhan and was off target. But a promising opening 20 seconds from Geylang. Roshan Wright.
Yeah, looking to get off to a quick start. Playing that early ball straight up top, looking to try and exploit that space. Down that right-hand side, or down that left-hand side of Geylang's attack there. Fortunately, he's leaning back as he struck it, although it wouldn't matter. Ball had gone out of play. Amy Reka looking to take on Nazrul Nazari, who's playing in that right-back role.
And he got the better of him, didn't he? I know he didn't keep the ball from going over the byline, but that is something we are seeing plenty of. Arman Bosniak gave the right flank of Balestier Khalsa a torrid time throughout the entire 90 minutes yesterday. There was reshuffles in game from Marko Kravic. They just couldn't tame the Montenegrin, and I wonder if Amy fancies making similar use of that left-hand side of our Tampines hub for the home side here this afternoon. Here with the throw is Hougang United's Nazrul, making slow inroads up the park as Hougang desperately at the moment, just trying to get the ball into Geylang International territory. You've got a great view, we've got a great vantage point, this commentary position at our Tampines hub. Anything you see tactically in terms of the formations earlier here, Roshan?
Yeah, I was just looking to try and get a few things organised, and that was one of the things I was going to pick out, those switches of play into Shawal.
Look at this, Shawal Anwar back into the lineup. Maybe lacking confidence there. I'm surprised he didn't take that on himself. He was in acres of space when the ball got to him, Roshan.
That's exactly it. So, ask me what I noticed there. Earlier on, he had been instructed to just peel out wide, try and give Hougang as much width as he possibly could down that left-hand side. And they're always going to be looking to those switches from Kaishu Yamazaki. Great diagonal ball out into him. He can then cut in onto his right foot there to have a crack at goal. Unfortunately, it was crowded out on that occasion. But that is going to be an out ball for Hougang in those transitional moments. When they win it very quickly, can they counter-attack, find the pace that they have in those wider positions?
Well, Geylang are going to be more expressive, you fancy. Not that they park the bus against the Lion City Sailors, but they don't want to not show Hougang a similar respect that they showed the Sailors. And very little space for the likes of Stipe to work with. There's an early foul there for the infringement on Elijah Lim, who's one of the youngsters making a name for himself in the league this year. Barry Maguire with a long ball that Amy Reka is going to get to here. Amy, Maresh waits in the middle. Faris is there as well, and it's out for the first corner of the game, and it'll go to the Eagles 3 minutes in. Encouraging start this from Geylang. They look up for this for their birthday boy manager.
Oh, it looks a good game for us as well. If you're a neutral watching this one, looks pretty end-to-end at the moment. Still very early on in the match, of course, but we've already seen Hougang look to try and hit very quickly on the counter. Geylang looking to try and get Amy Reka on the ball as much as they possibly can, and his instructions obviously go and attack whoever the right back is Nazrul on this occasion. Go and attack him whenever you can in those 1v1s. So
let's see what Faris Farhan can muster up with the corner. Delivery decent. Keeper gets a punch to it, Ridwan. Still in dangerous territory from a Hougang perspective. Elijah Lim didn't get the bounce there, but he'll get the throw after the robust challenge that came in from Norfal Asman. A reminder, we will tell you what's happening at Jalan Besar. They are 5 minutes in there, still Sailors nil, Tanjung Pagar United nil. Tanjung Pagar are going to beat one of the big teams this season, I'm telling you. When it all comes together for them, Clement said there are no easy games in the SPL, and I know people might smirk at that because the Young Lions haven't won a game this season, but you ask Hougang United if they think the Young Lions are an easy game. The Young Lions went there and got a point and were seconds away from getting all three. Here's Maresh, first touch for the Brazilian. It's not a good one. And Hougang able to battle their way out of bother with an early touch for Shawalamwa, who dropped really deep there. Maxat finding that with his head. There's Lionel Tan. Now, can they get something going down this flank with Shawalamwa this time? He's done well to keep that in, Shawalamwa. And he's found a pass in the middle as well. Just a slightly heavy touch from Hafiz. Didn't do him any favours there. Nice and intense this start, Roshan, isn't it?
Yeah, again, they're looking for that outlet. Looking to get it into Amy as soon as they can.
Oh, they've picked the pocket of Faisal Roslan there, and they could be in business down the right. Nice return pass, finds Norfal. Pulling it back to Kaishu Yamazaki, Roshan's man to watch. He gets it out to the left-hand side. Yamazaki wants this back, and he'll get it back as well. Nice 1, 2, 3, 4 there. And a tumble in the area, but no suggestion of a penalty. We had 2 penalties in the first half here yesterday, one at either end.
He needs to be physically stronger in that situation. Nafal, promising little build-up from Hougang down that right-hand side. Looking to just link up with Yamazaki in that situation. Just getting shoulder barges off the ball there, legally, by Barry Maguire. And will put himself about defensively.
So, first touch of the ball for Sanders Surajan, who, as I said, I was at Jalan Besar last week. He pulled off some very impressive point-blank saves, but they were straight at him. That's not decrying the performance he had. He did really well and made some smart saves. As referee is going to have an early chat here with Faris Farhan. What did you make of this, Roshan?
He's just taken the bottom of Faris Farhan's boots there into his shin.
Well,
Maksad is actually going into the challenge. He's actually kicked the bottom of Faris Farhan's boot there. So, referee, I think, is actually given a free kick to Geylang.
Yeah, I think Faris Farhan for a moment thought the free kick had gone the way of Hougang. But that wasn't the case. Maksat, I was looking online, I think his agent's Kyril Ashraf, and he was saying that he'd lost a lot of weight during the fasting month, Maksat, which is an issue for a lot of these players, keeping those diets concentrated and steady. And it was noticeable that Maksat had bulked up during the early exchanges of the season. Maybe his bodybuilding program just hitting the buffers during the month of Ramadan. Now here's Maresh. We've hardly seen anything of him yet through the first 7 minutes, but he is capable of something special and holds the ball up very well to get it to Isdin. Isdin over the top, trying to get it back to Maresh. How many times have we seen this already this season? They want handball against Yamazaki. Maresh was right there and was incandescent with rage. Was there anything in that, Roshan, right?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it might have just come off the chest of Kaishu Yamazaki in that situation. Let's have a closer look at that. I don't think his arms...
Very close.
Very close range, though.
At that speed,
it does come off his arm. It does come off his arm. I have to say, having a look at the replay, have a look at his left hand. It is very close, though.
Again, we had this argument many times this season. It's the kind of one that will never be given in real time. If it goes to VAR, you never know.
You never know, yeah.
Which is why we don't want VAR. Now, on the halfway line, Hougang with the throw. Farhan Zulkifli. Being pressured here by Elijah Lim. Good hustle, but Zulkifli does well to get away from him. But they've coughed up possession quite cheaply, and Maresh could be in business. He's got Amy on the left, and he's found him. Now Maresh in the area. And just trying to play it through to Amy Recker, who couldn't get on the end of that. But there's plenty of space for both teams if they can find the perfect pass, Roshan.
Well, it's end-to-end at the moment because there's a bit of a lack of control in the game right now. You see Hougang in these situations trying to build up from the back. They're not able to just retain that possession for long enough. Geylang looking to press and trying to force mistakes here. And Nafal's quite clever there, just to invite that contact from Harit, ease that pressure off his side.
Yeah, I think he knew the pass wasn't going to find a blue shirt, but he got second prize with the free kick. And I think Clement will just want Hougang to keep possession. I don't think they've strung more than half a dozen passes together consecutively yet. So that'll be a slight concern for Houang's boss. Norali will be pleased enough with how his team have started. That's a hit and hope that was intended for Shawal Anwar, but not going to get to him. And of course, we talked about their substitute benches, Roshan, and in this under-23 era, you're always going to get changes, a lot of them coming at half-time, and already it strikes me that if they were able to introduce Convalius in the second half and Moresh can just drop that little bit deeper, they become a completely different proposition, Geylang, because I know Convalius hasn't had the greatest start. He did score a fantastic goal against the Young Lions here, incidentally, earlier in the season, but bringing him on for 15, 20, 25 minutes in a game like this and giving Moresh more freedom in midfield can change the complexion of a game in a split second.
Well, I certainly think so. I don't think Moresh's best position is as that line-leading striker. I think he's more comfortable playing in behind traditional target men like Convalius. But Moresh has done an incredible job filling in as that striker. But you're right. I think if you've got a number 9 in there, in Convalius, for example, that's able to pin opposition central defenders and not allow them to then close down the spaces that Moresh would perhaps like to operate in. You could find Moresh, you know, having lots of joy in those spaces behind the opposition midfield.
There was a mistake that nearly let Tomoyuki Doi, and that's the first time we've seen Tomoyuki Doi. And I was going through the goal scorers for both teams. Obviously, Moresh is one of only, I need to check I've got this right, I think he's one of only 3 goal scorers for Geylang this season, which is obviously a concern, bearing in mind, as you said, he's already not an out-and-out striker. I might be doing a disservice. I think there might be one more goal scorer there. But they've got 9 different players that have scored Hougang this season, and that shows their goals all over the park. Even though Tomoyuki Doi has led the line, they've been able to call upon the likes of Idraki, Hafiz, Lionel Tanz, always a threat from set piece as well. Yes, just had that confirmed, by the way. Thank you. Somebody messaged you that. Who was that? Who is giving you the inside track, Roshan? Did you have that from a higher source?
Gotta keep my sources quiet. Keep them secret,
Yes,
you know?
well, many thanks. I know Tenkiat does a wonderful job keeping the stats and the facts and the figures for the SPL at FAS headquarters, and I did get that from the article that he wrote. So, great piece on Yuki Ichikawa, who is over a decade in Singapore football now and celebrating his 200th AIA Singapore Premier League start today. In Japan, by the way, when they make those kind of milestones, they present them with bouquets of flowers before the game. Maybe I'll buy him a bar of chocolate afterwards instead. Barry Maguire, who is enjoying life a bit more in the middle of the park. He had a great game, but boy, did he work hard against the Sailors yesterday. Oh, that's a giveaway. Shawal Anwar anticipated it brilliantly. Shawal Anwar, Tomoyuki Doi peels off. Shawal Anwar, and again, why didn't he either play the pass a second later or go himself, Roshan?
No, actually, the pass needed to go earlier. It needed to go earlier before Harith actually came across to cut it out. It needed to go here, now, into the path of Idraki there. Instead, he hesitates a little bit. He's caught in 2 minds. You know, he's thinking, should I have a crack at goal? Should I play the pass?
But he had with Harith going that way, if he had left it a second later, Harith would have gone straight past him.
Could have.
Just didn't get the timing right, but worrying signs for Geylang, who found clean sheets very hard to come by this season. So hard, in fact, that they haven't had any. And there's a half an opportunity as the ball was lofted into the air for Idraki, who couldn't get on the end of it. Hougang, just a 1 clean sheet for them against Balestier, but of course there was a proviso with that 1-0 win against Balestier, and that Ensar Brunzovic was given a red card in the 22nd minute that was subsequently rescinded. So I think they should only really get half a clean sheet for that. So both teams have found it difficult to stop leaking goals. By this point, when the teams met in Hougang in March, it was Geylang who were already a goal up, and I think, again, by the 13th minute, Tomoyuki Doi had levelled it up.
I was just laughing there, not at you, Patrick. Don't worry about that. I was because of Barry Maguire dropping off all the way onto the edge of his penalty box, not receiving it from his goalkeeper.
Oh, Elijah Lim, Moresh is going to be offside, surely.
Yeah, flag's gone up.
Moresh was in so much space with no one near him. He was literally he wasn't watching the ball. He was just watching the assistant referee.
Yeah, he's had a bit of an issue with timing his movements a little bit. We've seen him get advice from the coaching staff at times on the touchline. Gets himself into offside positions quite a bit. He's always looking to try and beat that defensive line with those runs in behind.
Nice controlled header from Ishikawa gets it to Amy, now Barry Maguire. These are the positions he loves. Maguire looking for Elijah Lim. And Elijah Lim can only get a slight flick on that to no one in particular, and it's behind for a goal kick. So, early on, no breakthrough and no real test for either goalkeeper at this point. Nor Ali there, will he be happy enough with how his team started?
Yeah, I think so. And you look at how generally they've sort of controlled, limited Hougang United first 15 minutes or so, 14, 15 minutes or so of the game. They've looked okay, comfortable on the ball, tried to create a couple of opportunities on their own, I should say. But look, again, still a long way to go. Trying to maintain that consistency is going to be key for them here.
Maguire is going to lose out there to Tomoyuki Doi. He's had to drop deep, but he's only succeeded in giving it to Amy. Now Amy can link up with Maguire. Maresh waits in the middle. Maguire drives through the centre of the pitch. Lovely attempted flick on by Faris Farhan, but Hougang just about keep their eye on it. And then Barry Maguire loses out, which means they're going to be short in midfield, but the passing not as crisp as what we're used to from Hougang early on here. This is more like it. Yamazaki. Doi was trying to hold his run to get the return from Yamazaki. It didn't come. They'll have to go out onto that right-hand side instead. And twisting and turning was Idraki, and it's out for another throw. Still got. Sorry, I was going to say still goalless quickly as latest at Jalan Besar, 0-0 and 0-0 here.
Yeah, again, just a couple of loose passes in midfield there, just opening the game up for a little bit. Sidraki whips a beautiful ball in, cleared away by Faisal.
Only as far as the edge of the area. Tomoyuki Doi, time to turn, Doi! And tipped over the bar. Sander Surajan passes yet another AIA Singapore Premier League test, but you can't allow Tomoyuki Doi that kind of time and space to turn, Roshan, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's cleared onto the edge of the area. Geylang's midfielders don't pick up on that. Instead, it's Hougang to create an opportunity. Tomoyuki Doi, I mean, does really well just to earn himself that little bit of space to have a crack at goal. They allow him to turn and have a shot. Fortunately for them, it's straight down Sanders' throat that you expected. Goalkeeper in that position to make that save. Good, comfortable height. Plenty of power behind it, but not enough direction.
Yamazaki will take it. They caused havoc from their corner kicks in that 4-1 game against Geylang at the Hougang Stadium in March. What can they do here? Delivered in. Very deep, too deep. Over everyone as chasing to get onto it is Norfout. Faris Farhan back helping his defence. Now it comes to Maxat. Maxat was trying to thread it through to Idraki. Geylang clear, but they've got everyone back behind the ball, so they're going to have to play it out of trouble if they want to get possession back here. Barry Maguire, nice header, finds Amy. Amy under pressure. Barry Maguire picks up the loose ball, and now they could be in business. Maguire driving through the middle, beats one man, and no whistle. It was a good challenge that came in from Nazrul.
Yes, and that ball needed to go out to Faris Farhan on the left-hand side. It was in acres of space. There was space in behind Hougang's defense as well to go and attack. In the end, it's strong defending by Nazrul here. Perhaps he's a little bit unlucky, Barry, that he doesn't win the free kick, but I think that ball can go out to Faris earlier. You know, there's space for him to exploit in there.
Barry Maguire, meanwhile, on the deck in some discomfort. They'll be having their hearts in their mouths here. Just the one shot in the game so far, thanks to our friends at Genius Sports with the stats. That was the Tomoyuki Doi effort, tipped over by Sander Surajan. Remember the opening day of the season here, Barry Maguire limped off inside the first 10 minutes, and that was when Maresh was introduced off the bench to announce his arrival in Singapore in some style with 2 goals. So every time Barry Maguire goes down with an injury, I'm sure Noor Ali has his heart in his mouth because he's so influential, versatile, with the kind of lead you need in the middle of the park, Roshan.
Well, he's communicating for them in midfield as well. So it's not just his technical qualities that he has, not just the fact that, you know, he's box to box, he's tried to drive the game with that energy and aggression in the middle of the park. He's communicating with his players. He's always guiding them, talking to them, geeing them on. Think about certain situations, let's go, a little bit of encouragement here and there, and then getting themselves into positions. You always need those sorts of characters in your team out on the pitch. Sometimes you can get a little bit too quiet at times, so you need talkers on the pitch just to keep yourselves awake. Certainly fulfills that role as well, Barry Maguire.
Nathan Chan just wanting things restarted the proper way as Barry Maguire waits to be allowed back onto the field of play. No goals across either game so far. We'd had about 6 by this time yesterday with early strikes in the Young Lions Albirex game, and I think we'd had 5 goals by half-time here when Tampines led Balestier Khalsa by 4 goals to 1. Here's Idraki, twisting and turning, managing to get the ball to Hafiz, but Geylang come away with it again. Now Amy down the left, plays a quick pass to Maresh, who's had to drop deep. Barry Maguire, they've got an option with Elijah Lim down the right if they can find him, and find Elijah Lim they do. Elijah Lim, cross was well watched and well blocked ultimately by Farhan Zulkifli. And that's going to be Hougang International ball.
I like this boy, you know, Farhan Zulkifli. I think he's a very talented young player who's getting lots of game time as well. Having to play in those full-back positions, but he can play further forward as well, out on the wings.
Flicked on by Tomoyuki Doi, but with him flicking on, there was no one to get on the end of it. As Ichikawa gets it to Isdin. Isdin, well, Tomoyuki Doi is a real tiger. He won't be giving those defenders a moment's peace when they're trying to pick a pass to clear the ball. Here's Harith Kanadi, and they end up having to go all the way back to Sanders Surajan. Both teams really still in a bit of a feeling out process here, Roshan. Get the impression it might be a mistake that breaks the deadlock. Maresh is going to be offside. Was very, very tight, and the whistle is eventually going to go.
I'll tell you what, I'm not sure he's offside. I thought he timed his run really well there, Maresh. And that was wonderful build-up by Geylang. One of the key things that they do here is they keep Darren high and wide in that position to occupy that width, and that means Farhan Zulkifli's got to keep his eye out on Darren Tay's position, and that means Elijah Lim can then drop into that space.
He's offside.
Yeah, it's a correct call. It's a correct call.
Just
well done to the assistant referee.
So difficult. I mean, again, I'm amazed that assistant referees get as many offside decisions correct as they do, because to be managing the whole game and still have that laser-like eyesight and be in the right place at the right time to judge on offsides, it's pretty impressive. Elijah Lim with a good first touch can make something happen here. He's got Maguire in support. But again, the player that's impressing, Roshan Rai, Farhan Zulkifli sends it out for a throw. Midway through the first half, at Janaba Star still goalless. Lion City Sailors 0, Tanjung Pagar United 0. That'll be a result that pleases both Albirex Niigata and Tampines if it stays that way. Albirex Niigata, the next visit is here to take on Geylang. Now here's Maresh on the edge of the area. Can Maresh fashion the space to get the shot away? Maresh. Well watched by Maxat. Here's Darren Tay far forward. Elijah Lim lifts one up, and I'm not entirely sure that's the best header in the world, and it was a real chance for Amy Rekka. He's got to do better, hasn't he, Roshan?
I think it's just Idraki that throws him off a little bit as that ball comes down. He's got to keep his eyes on it all the way. It can be a difficult technique. Those situations, you're watching the ball all the way as it comes down. Idraki just does enough to put him off that attempt there. But again, it's wonderful build-up, and that setup from Geylang here, where they've got these overloads. It's 5 Geylang players up against 4, that back 4 of Hougang. And they're creating these little overloads just by keeping Darren Tay up, staying in those wider areas. Elijah Lim playing in slightly narrower in these situations. That means Farhan Zulkifli, he's got 2 players to keep an eye on in those spaces. So he's either got Elijah to focus on, or he's also worried about Darren Tay maintaining width down the right-hand side. And when he gets Lionel coming across, that means you're leaving that bit of gap in the middle, in the center. Maksat's got to come across to cover as well. Nazrul then has to come across and cover as well. And that's when they have that overload down the left-hand side with Amy Rekka in acres of space.
Both teams have had something resembling half chances. Hougaang's opportunity, perhaps the best, with Tomoyuki Doi, seeing his effort tipped over by Sander Surajan. Now Maresh battling with Maksat, battling too tough as well. That's going to be a good battle to keep an eye on, 2 youngsters. Must be very difficult for a player like Maresh, only 22 years of age. You come to a country like Singapore, you know, obviously in normal times, it'll probably be a fantastic place to come and live. But with COVID-19, of course, that very unique situation, very difficult to come and adjust to a new country and a new environment. With all that's going on in the world in COVID-19, we hope you're staying safe and well wherever you are. Don't forget to keep those masks on, stay safe. and stop the spread and stay at home. Now Moresh is offside again, and you've highlighted this already, and it was a feature of his play last week as well, Roshan. When he's in that unfamiliar territory leading the line, it's not something that becomes second nature to a 34-year-old striker like Convalius, who would know with his eyes closed just by a sixth sense when he was off or onside. Not much in that one, by the way.
Again, that one looked really tight to me, but linesman's assistant referee's in a great position there to spot that one. Now getting free kicks at quite regular intervals at the moment. Still no reach for the pocket from Nathan Chen. Yamazaki. Oh, it's a great pass. It's found Shawalanwa. Now what can Shawalanwa do here? Inside Doi, again space to turn and shoot. This time he fluffed his lines as we take the drinks break midway through the first half. No goals, and let's be honest, not the greatest game that we've covered so far this season, Roshan, but still quite intriguing because you get the impression someone is going to blink here before half-time and we will get a breakthrough. I don't know why. I feel it in my bones there'll be a breakthrough before the half-time whistle. Well, not too many clear-cut opportunities here. You're right to point that out, but there are some interesting aspects to sort of look at in terms of the tactical setups of the respective sides, in terms of Geylang in possession, switching into that almost a bit of a back three, pushing Darren Tay up into those wider areas, as I touched on a little bit earlier. That's causing a few issues for Hougang to deal with defensively because they've got that overload concern to deal with. And then Hougang themselves looking to try and play counter-attacking football and trying to move the ball forward very quickly. Again, you saw that switch from Kaishu Yamazaki out into Shawal Anwar. Just couldn't quite pick out the right pass in that situation. So interesting aspects to sort of look at. Yes, I understand in terms of the neutrals, you're looking for goals. Hopefully we'll get a bit of that as the game goes on. I have to say I did promise goals as well, and I don't want to disappoint the viewers out there. Hopefully the teams won't let me down.
Well, there's Moresh. Something about him, again, and I think he's a bit unfortunate. That one game when the fans came back against the Young Lions when he got that couple of goals, he was interacting with them, he was loving it. I mean, we're used to seeing players, and again, this is nothing against Silvano Convalius. What a great professional he's been and scored goals galore in Indonesia for Bali. But he's coming here, and it's not a retirement tour, but he's kind of winding his career down. He's seen there, done it all. Imagine playing. He's been playing in some of those stadiums in Indonesia where there's 90,000 fans. Yep. If you're Moresh, he played in the Belarus Premier League last year, which was the only league, incidentally. Singapore was the second last league to suspend before the whole world basically shut down with COVID, and the Belarus Premier League was the only one that carried on all the way through it. So he's played more football than most over the last 12 months, Moresh, but a great opportunity for him to come and build himself. And at 22 years of age, Roshan, you've been there. There's still improvement to come in him, isn't there?
Oh, plenty of improvement to come. As you see, Yamazaki just go clattering into the back of Barry Maguire. Holds his position very well, uses his body well in that situation, Barry. And looking at a quick ball over the top into Amy. But yeah, look, it's about some of these guys coming across. And you speak about younger players developing. Older players can develop as well. You're always trying to pick up new skills. You're always trying to learn, see how you can sort of adapt your game, how you can sort of change your game.
With all due respect, Roshan, because I know you're much more youthful than me, but you do fit into that older bracket. You're usually having to adapt because of your pace limitations, and your game has to adapt to compensate for something that's on the decline. Whereas young players have still got the physical ability to improve again and again. I suppose there are examples, but I'm just thinking, we talk about this all the time, about some of the negativity that floats around about Singapore football and the national team. Let's just break off to see if Faris Farhan can make something happen here. The answer is no, as Nasrul comes away with it. Now look at Nasrul's space here. Can he find Tomoyuki Doi? Yes, he can. Doi does really well, though, and he might be able to thread a pass through. Tomoyuki Doi just took one touch too many. Ichikawa out to Idraki now. On this right-hand side they come. And crossed in, Doi! There's the breakthrough! Doi's goal drought is over. The Dynamo secures his 12th of the season. And Hougang strike first at OTH, Roshan Wright.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I call it a goal drought. One game where he hasn't scored 10 minutes against the Lion City Sailors, Patrick. Come on. You don't put Tomoyuki Doi down at all. You give him that kind of time and space in there to find the back of the net. He's going to absolutely punish you. Here, they find the right ball. Clever play by Idraki, looking for that cutback. And he has to stretch at that, Tomoyuki Doi. That's not an easy finish. He's stretching as he hits that one. still to keep it under control, to find the far corner of the net. It's an incredible finish by Tomoyuki Doi. What's that, his 12th of the season now?
Top of the shop again, stands out on his own after he was caught up by Boris Kapitovic yesterday. And I tell you something, by his standards, he'd have considered it a goal drought, because scoring 4 goals in the team against Ballesteros and not getting one himself. Remember, before that, he'd scored in 6 straight. The only other game he'd failed to score in was the opening day defeat against Albrecht Nagata and Hougang through Tomoyuki Doi. Now, what's this? Amy Reka twisting and turning. And there's going to be a free kick going against Amy. And, well, that breakthrough has come, and it will give the game a different perspective. Now, incidentally, I don't think many people would have thought we'd get a goal first here before we get a goal at Jalan Besar. The Lion City side are still being held by Tanjung Pagar United in that one. It's goalless. But Hougang, value for that lead, maybe just because they created the better openings, haven't they?
I think the rhythm of the game, you can see 2 distinct styles. You know, Geylang looking to try and have a bit more possession, looking to try and create. And Hougang, the game plan is to try and just move it forward, be very direct when they do have possession of the ball. And it worked out well for them, really, in that situation. Just look at how quickly they moved the ball on, 1 and 2 touches in that situation. And that's when the space has opened up for Tomoyuki Doi to have a crack at goal.
And after taking the lead in the game in March, Geylang let the match really get away with them very quickly after Tomoyuki Doi had equalised. They can't afford to go 2 down here. They showed great battling qualities, didn't they? Coming from behind twice to give Tampines a square before the Stags went on and won that game by 3 goals to 2. They have got battling qualities at their disposal, Geylang, but already you can be a little bit concerned. It was 1-1 when the teams went into the half-time break in that game at Hougang Stadium in March. Get the feeling they need to strike next here, and they could well do that now. Here's Amy. Maxat gets across brilliantly, but Barry Maguire picks up the pieces. Moresh waits in the middle, and Maguire, off a deflection, manages to win a corner. Well, at least they've responded, Roshan, to going behind.
That's good recovery by Nazrul. Really well defended by Hougang's right back there, getting himself back, snuffing out that danger. Barry Maguire looked to have been possibly in behind to drive into the penalty box. Expect a response from Geylang, and trying to hit back as quickly as they can here.
For East Farham with the in-swinger. Keep an eye on Yuki Ichikawa. Faisal Roslan's up for it as well. But there's plenty of height in that Hougang defence to counter, and that corner's far too close to Ridwan Barudin, who gathers it cleanly.
You know, you just go back to that goal as well, and I just want to highlight Tomoyuki Doi's positioning.
Oh, good pick up from Istin. Barry Maguire. Moresh, can he take it in his stride? Not quite, but he's still in possession in the area. Moresh, wonderful work, squares it. No one attacking the 6-yard box. Amy couldn't get there in time. Istin nearly capitalising there, Roshan.
Yeah, good pressing by Geylang. He's looking to try and take the ball off Hougang in that situation. Again, looking to just press high, force the error. No support in the box arriving for Moresh, though.
Someone's got to be attacking.
Got to gamble in those situations,
box, haven't they?
Well, here's another example that Tomoyuki Doi picks it up in that tight space. Eventually, he kind of gets crowded out, but he just holds his position. Have a look at that. As that defensive line drops off, they want to protect their goal. Naturally, defenders are going to drop off in that situation, drop off closer towards their goal. And the intelligence of Doi just to hold his position, to find that little bit of space and find the finish.
Yamazaki trying to get it through to Doi, who looks like he's in the mood for more goals here. Elijah Lim picks up the pieces for the Eagles. Here's Isdin. Isdin shows good strength in possession, but he's outnumbered there, and it's going to be Hafiz that picks it up. Back to Tomoyuki Doi, lays it off to Idraki! And Sanders Surajin just about gets enough on it. Not by much. I think that was goal bound if Sanders doesn't make that save, Roshan.
Well, it's good hold-up play by Doi initially. Just to keep a hold of it. Have a look at this one here. Drags a couple of defenders, draws a couple of defenders towards him to create a little bit of space for Idraki. And the fingertips of Sanders. Is able to push it wide for the corner to Hougang.
Well, we've got lots of people. At least people are watching the show, which I like to hear, Roshan, as we get this corner. I'll tell you about a correction I've got to make in a minute. Yamazaki. Maxat's up for it, but can't get there before Isdin. This is going to come back in the direction of Kaishu Yamazaki. What can he do from close quarters here? The flag is up for offside. That's why Yamazaki was being a bit cautious. But he's been here so long, and the chairman of Tampines Rovers, you've had Tenkiat confirming it's Yuki's 200th appearance in Singapore today in the Singapore Premier League. And Des points out, I mean, obviously, Des is much older than us, so he's old enough to remember this, that Yuki Chikawa did play for Albrechts in 2012 and 2013. I had it in my mind for reasons which I'm going to have to get to the bottom of later, that he was one of those rare breed that didn't initially come with Albrechts. As referee gives a free kick Hougang way as well. Des Ong will be very happy with how Tampines played yesterday. Did you see that game yesterday, Roshan? They were, I mean, they were in control.
They were in complete control in that one, weren't they? I mean, they're the kind of side that have always got that in them in terms of the quality to absolutely blow teams away, and they certainly did that against Balestier.
And I think that's actually, when we get a next reasonable break in play, I'll go back to that point I was making just before the goal, and we might get a chance now if that's out for a goal kick, which I think it will be. Assistant referee having a think and then goes for the goal kick. I think Gavin Lee deserves a huge amount of credit. Now, I like to be positive about things. I think there's far too much negativity in Singapore football. Some of it, you could argue, justified. This season, Roshan, we've been working on this league at close quarters. The amount of young players that are impressing, I think more so than ever before. The under-23 rule's got its critics, and I think some of those criticisms are valid. But Gavin Lee, the improvement, Mark Ryan Tan showed glimpses at the young Lions. Yes, he's playing with a more experienced squad around him. He really is impressing. Shah Shahiran before he went off for national service. Iman Hakim, who was at Albrechts last year, that's improved, and now he's at Tampines. And I don't think it's just them as well. There have been young players, Harith Kanadi we're seeing here, across the league that are really suggesting, as the first yellow card comes in for Lionel Tan in proceedings, that the future could be bright.
I think so. I think lots of quality out there in terms of the young players coming through. You've mentioned all those names. Harith, that I've spoken about. I think he's got a big future ahead of him. You've got Farhan Zulkifli, also a very young player who's getting lots of game time.
Saifullah at the Sailors?
Saifullah, someone I picked out a few weeks ago as one of the players to watch as well. Look, all over the league. You've got Idraki here as well, who's been contributing for Hougang in those attacking positions. Picked up another assist in this game.
Isdin, headed away by Maxat to the edge of the area. Might sit down for Harith Kanadi. Didn't quite get a sweet enough connection, and now he's got tracking back to do, because Hougang could be on for a quick counter here. And herring down the right-hand side, it's the aforementioned Idraki who wins the throw. Now, goodness gracious me, what's Maxat doing that far forward? Hougang improvising here, and Maxat may well find Tomoyuki Doi. Doi goal side, Tomoyuki Doi back to Idraki! And it's 2-0, Hougang International. Well, they went coast to coast in seconds. Idraki with his third of the campaign, and the Geylang Eagles have got it all to do now, Roshan, right?
Well, it's all about those quick counter-attacks, quick transitions. Look at how, again, I feel like I'm repeating myself here, but it's a key to this match, and it's working out for them so well. Just because of the pace that they have in those four positions. I mean, Tomoyuki Doi, what he does really well there in that situation is he makes that blindside run. I think it's behind Isdin, you know. He makes that blindside run. Mark Sart spots him with a delightful ball. Yep, that blindside run in behind Isdin, and then has the presence of mind and that composure to play in Idraki for that finish into the bottom corner of the net here. It's simplifying it, Hougang United.
I think Tomoyuki Doi and Maxat both deserve half an assist each for that. The ball from Maxat, who we mentioned again, I mean, we talk about Maresh potentially becoming a naturalised Singaporean. You forget how young Maxat is as well. There's another one if they go down that route again at international level. But that is an argument and a debate for another day when we've got more time. Because at the moment, the goals have started to flow here as Hougang lead Geylang by 2-0. Meanwhile, Tanjung Pagar United, the Jaguars, are holding the Sailors at Jalan Besar. They've only got 6 minutes to go to half-time there. And it's goalless between the team that started the afternoon in third place. A draw would be enough to take them above the Stags, back up into second and goal difference, but that's a result that will please Albrechts and Tampines if it stays like that. Although I seem to remember the fixture they played at Jurong East earlier in the season. It was 0-0 at half-time when they took on Tanjung Pagar, and then they won 5-0. And we talk about the substitute benches here, Roshan. The Lion City Sailor substitutes bench is frightening and only going to get more frightening.
Yeah, the problem is trying to give game time to the players that they've got in that squad. But there's plenty of talent in there. And as one of the players, Tipe Plazabat, said, if they don't win the title, then it's a failure of a season for them. And they have to live up to that pressure. They have to live up to those expectations. They're getting paid big money, big wages in there. They're putting out big transfer fees. They're bringing in big players. They've got to deliver results.
There's a foul as brought down his Farhan Zulkifli. Shasi Kumar, our phones are going red hot here. who was in the commentary box yesterday as the Young Lions went down to Albrechts. And again, just like the under-23 rule, the Young Lions, you know, presence in the league is always going to attract about. I think Philippe's doing a great job getting them playing the right way. Some people will say, well, they're playing where results aren't important. I think, again, there's no question that, like, it's got golden rule of football. Fans improved for playing alongside Cardozo and Tunes at BG Batum this season. Let's just see Yamazaki's free kick come in, and Sanders gets there, and then it's brought down, but there'd already been an infringement spotted by referee Chen. Yes, but the Young Lions, when the players do their stint at the Young Lions, Rocha, and then go out and play with clubs with more senior players around them, foreign players around them, they're going to improve. But do you think that presence with the Young Lions, I think the Young Lions in patches have played some good stuff this season. Do you think that is actually just part of the development, or is it stilting them?
I think it's part of the development. I mean, you're looking at essentially boys playing against men mostly in this league. It's very difficult that step up, that level of intensity. I know there's an argument, some out there saying, you know, let some of these Young Lions players go out into the clubs, disband that. But what they have, we'll come back to that in a second.
Might be in business
here.
Amy Rekker's away at the races, only Maresh in support. Amy tries to square it for Maresh, and he could have got there. Maxat didn't get a clean content, but the Brazilian couldn't get on the end of it. They're still in business, though. Faris Farhan, a goal before half-time, and it's game back on here, and they very nearly got one. I think the keeper got a touch, and then off the post and behind for a corner. But all of a sudden, they caught Hougang asleep at the back. Amy got in behind them, and Maresh came very close to scoring there, Roshan, right?
Yeah, it's quick play by Geylang International on this occasion. Amy Rekker turning on the afterburners there, getting past Farhan Zulkifli. Again with an opportunity from Faris down the left-hand side. Not really troubling Ridwan too much, I would think, in that situation.
They're winning the corner count, Geylang, but they're behind on the scoreboard. They need to convert one of their set pieces into a goal. And they might do there, Barry Maguire, but the beast that is Maxat got there before him. Now, Harith Kanadi. Harith, inside, outside, getting it back to Faris Farhan. I think Faris thought he might have been offside there, and by the time he realised he wasn't, the danger had passed for Hougang, and it's behind for a goal kick.
It might have been Lionel, perhaps at that set piece, just clearing the danger initially for Hougang. But to go back to your point about the Young Lions, what you have is you've got this group of young players, talented young players, and you have that element of control in a sense with these young players. So you can sort of develop them the way you want to. You've got a certain style of play. Let's say you've got a national syllabus or whatever it is. You can impart that into these players who are seen as potentially future national players for Singapore. So you have that element of control with these younger players. You can impart certain things with them.
Why then wasn't there not an argument for saying that the Young Lions should have 3 foreigners in the squad, experienced professionals that could come and train with them, play with them week in, week out, and bring them along? Because there's no question. I mean, Irfan is the case study for me. Irfan Fandi was one of the defenders in the whole of the Thai League last season, playing alongside Cardozo and Tunes, 2 really experienced South Americans, and improved him no end. And I think the Singapore national team will see the benefit of that if hopefully those games go ahead in the World Cup qualifiers. So, I mean, could you say that in the Young Lions? You put foreign players in the Young Lions, set up as, you know, experienced professionals, a bit like in the old international days. Under 21 internationals in the old days, you could play 3 overage players.
You could do, yeah, you could. I remember there being a spell as well where there were some senior players in that Young Lions setup. So obviously moved away from that.
Maguire was looking for Maresh. It might come to Faris Farhan. They found some space for Amy. Are they back in it? Straight at Ridwan. He stood up well and gathered it on the rebound. Chances coming for Geylang all of a sudden, Roshan, right?
Well, momentum's just shifted a little bit towards Geylang's ways. And you get that at times in matches. You get that rhythm shifting. Just again, it's a shot that's straight at Ridwan. Plenty of power there. You want to try and ideally go across the goalkeeper if you can here. Amy Rekker, who has been getting into good positions down that left-hand side. Again, he is an outlet for them. Always looking to try and get it into him if they can.
He's one of only 4 players that have scored for Geylang this season. Maresh with 7, Amy with 3. Faisal Roslan with 1, and of course Convalius with that stunning strike against the Young Lions. Goals have been a problem for them. Now, Faris Farhan, he's getting heavily involved in this game now, but impressed with Faris Farhan. He's drifting in, drifting out left, coming back right. Barry Maguire's pass was a hopeful one, trying to find Maresh, but he's found the Brazilian, who has it taken off its toes, and Idraki, who's having some influence here, tracks back. Hougang, in contrast, 24 goals for them for the campaign. Now, Geylang International, who've got 12, only Tanjung Pagar and the Young Lions have scored fewer. Barry Maguire, Geylang, is he onside here, Darren Tate? If he is, he's going to get a corner out of it, and he does. So, they're knocking on the door. A goal before half-time, and they're right back in this, Roshan.
Yes, and I think that's what they'll be looking to try and get here in these closing few minutes of this first half. It gives them an opportunity to try and play for something in that second 45. I'm just glad that I promised our viewers goals, and at least we got a couple from Hougang.
I want
so
more,
far.
Roshan. I want more. And to be correct, you promised the viewers a 3-2 win for Hougang United. So you're on the right track. Obviously, you got to live up to the. Nur Ali, who was our guest last week for the Albrecht Tampines game, and you got the score spot on here, 2-2. Faris Farhan with the cross. Again, not a best delivery. They're not taking advantage of these crosses. Darren Tay lofts it back in, though. Over Maresh into the middle. Ishikawa was there, but they can't get onto it. Not entirely sure what they were trying to do there. They've given it straight back to Geylang, who don't seem willing to take advantage of this situation. They're pressing forward now. We'll find out in a minute how much time will be added on for stoppages as Amy's header is straight into Ridwan. There's going to be 2 minutes to be added on, so 120 seconds for Geylang to get that goal, to get back into it. What do you do if it stays like this to half-time? Roshan, we know that Harith Kanadi's on the way back to full fitness. Do you think about giving Convalius 45 and dropping Maresh deeper? Would that be your move?
Yeah, I'd certainly think about doing that. You've also got Van Huysen on the bench who can come in and create chances for you from those wider positions. And if you've got a player like Convalius that can come in, there's attack headers in the box, you try and want to bring Van Huysen in as well, because he's got a wonderful delivery from those wider positions.
Yamazaki, where you're
2 down, you've got to go into the second half as the side that's looking to try and take more of the risk here, looking to try and open up a little bit more.
That was well watched and well brought out from the back by Faisal Roslan, but the pass, he's been gifted it to Maresh. Maresh through on goal, and wonderful covering defence from Nasrul after Maxat had made a rare mistake. Just not dropping for Geylang at the moment. They trail by 2, and Darren Tay is going to be penalised for a push, and that might just get Hougang, who've been under a bit of pressure in recent seconds, through to half-time with their 2-goal lead intact. Looks like Tanjung Pagar going to go in at half-time, all square at Jalan Besar. Lion City Sailors nil, Tanjung Pagar nil there. Nathan Chan, referee's had a good game so far. Roshan, I've been impressed with the refereeing performances this weekend. He's got every decision right so far. As Ichikawa gets above Tomoyuki Doi. Nice work from Hafiz, though. Hafiz goes down, and Darren Tay's given away another free kick. And when you give away 2 free kicks in quick succession, the referee is given the option of going to the notebook. And now the number 5s on both teams, Darren Tay and Lionel Tan, are both in the book here with 45 minutes to play.
That's really good play by Hafiz once again. I like him a lot. Fantastic professional, Hafiz. He's had a pretty long career as well. Very clever play, that situation, just to nutmeg Darren.
Well, if you're Nur Ali now, you literally just want this ball out of the penalty area as quickly as possible, because 2-0, OK, a mountain to climb, still in it. You have just knocked on the door a couple of times yourself. If with the last kick of the half you go 3 down, that would be a disaster, goes without saying. Kaishu Yamazaki, whose set-piece delivery is always reliable. Yamazaki, options galore in the middle, including Maxat. Yamazaki, well, commentator's curse. The first poor delivery is given all game, and that will take us to half-time. Nathan Chen blows for a first half that's picked up the pace, I think it's safe to say, after early inroads from neither team made a difference, and only an early save for Sander Suajan from Tomoyuki Doi. After the hydration break, they both upped it up a gear, and 2 goals for Hougang. One, a wonderful goal from Tomoyuki Doi, and then a beautiful teamwork goal involving Maxat, Doi and Idraki for 2-0. In the 28th and 36th minute, it's Hougang that have the advantage here. They lead 2-0. The thoughts of Roshan Ryan, our half-time analysis, coming up next. Stay with us. Welcome live to our Tampines Hub half-time. It's advantage Cheetahs. They lead by 2-0, and really a case, Roshan, of, at the end of the day, more clinical finishing. They've both created chances, but Tomoyuki Doi and Idraki, two great finishes. Yeah, the difference in there being Tomoyuki Doi with his quality in the finish. You know, I don't want to bring up things like XG. I know it gives you a bit of a headache, Patrick, but with the chance quality that he's had, you know, a player of his quality and the opportunities that he's taken in his game. First one early on. That's an XG chance, isn't it? That's a low XG chance, actually, for Tomoyuki Doi. Still, he does really well in that situation to just find himself that little bit of space, but it's straight down the middle. It's comfortable save from Sanders. And when you watch that effort, he actually took that shot as he was falling over, and the goal when it came, but again, he takes it. He's got this unique style almost. He always seems to end up on the deck when he takes a shot. And there's more to that than just sticking a leg out. He intended that, didn't he? Of course. Again, it's that initial build-up. And what I touched on in my commentary is the fact that he holds his position. He uses the run of Hafiz in there. Hafiz's run is very important in that it drags Faisal Roslan along with him. That back line, Shawal in that position as well, that back line has got to drop off. That creates a little bit of space for Tomoyuki Doi to work with. He holds his position, and his finishing quality, his technical quality just comes through in the end with that finish. Sanders Surajan making a save from Idraki, who went very close there, would actually make the breakthrough past Sanders just 4 minutes after that. Doi again involved. I mean, you know, he's not as big as some of the big hold-up strikers we've got here, the likes of Zuzu, the likes of Ashino, the likes of Stipe, but boy, for a diminutive figure, he holds the ball up well. Now, Maxet got forward here. What about, that's the pass of the game for me. That's a beautiful pass from Maxat, and that's an aspect that's great to see him in terms of the development of his game. A young player using the ball really well in that situation. Picks out Tomoyuki Doi delightfully here. I mean, that's a very smart run on the blind side behind Isdin into a space in front of him. And then he has the presence of mind here. He gets the support from Idraki. His back heels it into him. Idraki able to take that first touch, set himself up for the finish. Now, we were having a chat about all things Singapore footballing future, and Amy Recker got in behind the defence for the first time, really, and Maxat just about did enough to put Maresh off, but the chance came again and eventually falling to Faris Farhan. And really, he's got to do better, isn't he? In the first place, Maresh, I mean, not so much Faris Farhan. Yeah, Maresh in that situation. I think, again, he just gets thrown off a little bit with the fact that Maxat's on hand to just try and distract him in that situation. But it was a good early ball down that right-hand side to Amy Reka, who showed a nice turn of pace, accelerates away from Franz Zulkifli with that cutback. Unfortunately, couldn't make the most of it. Now, the only stat that matters is the one at the top of that list that shows you Hougang leading by 2-0. Shots quite similar. Geylang winning the corner count. Maresh has been caught offside 3 times. I think all 3 of those offside decisions went against him. And 1 yellow card apiece for Darren Tay and Lionel Tan. Now, as we mentioned during commentary, keeping you up to date with the other game on these double-header weekend nights, the Lion City Sailors 0, Tanjung United 0. Remember, the Sailors need to get maximum points to go back to within 1. If they don't pick up maximum points there today, doing my maths, I don't think they can go to the top of the table, whatever happens next weekend before that long international break. Very quickly, you are Noor Ali, what changes do you make? Do you give Convalius the 45 minutes to try and make a difference? I think you'd have to. You're in a position where now you've got to try and change the game. You've got to risk it. You've got to go for it. If he's fit enough, go for it. And then hopefully his quality is able to come through for you. We'll find out if any changes are forthcoming shortly. Second half is coming up live. It's Geylang Hougang from OTH live on Singtel Star Hub. Stay with us.
AIA Vitality. Your health is every choice you make. We are part of a global wellness program with over 1.65 million members in AIA across Asia. And in Singapore, we have more than 100,000 members on AIA Vitality. Members live healthier by knowing their health through online health assessments and screenings. They improve their health by logging exercises and enjoying the rewards to keep them going. And indeed, members are making improvements in their health. Even the vitality age gap has narrowed to less than a year. Best of all, you earn points for every activity. The higher your status, the greater the rewards, including up to 15% off insurance premium on selected AIA plans. To keep you going, there is the weekly fitness challenge, with personalized targets to help pace and improve your fitness. When you complete the challenge, you get a spin on the Vitality Wheel to earn Vitality Coins, which you can use at the marketplace. That's not all. You also earn AIA Vitality Points for completing these activities. And very soon, you'll be on your way to Platinum status. And we sweeten the deal further with many exciting partner benefits that you can enjoy. With AIA Vitality, nothing gets better than a healthier you. So get on to AIA Vitality today, because your health is every choice you make.
We're back live at our Tampines hub, where Geylang International have got a job on to come from 2 down against Hougang United. Tom Yukidoi's 12th of the season, Idraki Adnan's 3rd of the campaign, giving the Cheetahs a good advantage over the Eagles. It looks like Roshan right alongside me as we look down at the traditional site of substitutes warming up. It looks to be a relatively full complement of subs still out on the pitch, while the remainder of the players are in the dressing rooms. But there's a couple of names conspicuous by their absence. It looks like Convalius may be making an appearance, Roshan.
Yeah, he might be. He's not out here at half-time warming up on the pitch, so he could be just in the locker room, perhaps getting a few instructions about coming on. And mentioned, if you're going to perhaps think about bringing him on, you're going to think about Van Huysen as well, to deliver quality from those wider positions. So let's see what they've got up the sleeves. You get some information from the touchline if we can. Yeah. We'll find out soon enough anyway.
Both Van Huysen and Convalius missing. Well, they came out and had a little knockabout as Leonard Coe, the general manager of Geylang International, comes through. Yes, team manager, I should say. Let's have a look here. There's Nathan Chen, the officials, who noticeable by getting most of the big calls right in that first half. There's Clement. Will be very happy with the way his team took control of the game after a rather so-so first quarter of the match. Before that hydration break, it really came alive after the teams had taken drinks on. That's another interesting element with these hydration breaks in many leagues around the world now, as maybe there is a change coming. Let's check, because that hydration break does sometimes seem to almost turn. It's only a minute break, but sometimes it does give teams, you know, a restart button, and leads to maybe more frequent changes in the toing and froing and the momentum in games.
Yeah, it can, you know. I mean, we talk about, you often hear managers talking about momentum, talking about rhythm and things like that, and it does have an effect, you know, sometimes, especially if you're in a situation where...
There's Convalius.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be coming on as we thought at halftime. Can just take the sting out of the game for you, take the sting out of your tempo of your match.
Well, Convalius just gazing down pitch side. We've got a great vantage point here, the commentary position at our Tampines hub, right at the top of the main stand. And there's 2, 4, 6, 8, only 9 players out, including the keeper. Van Huysen is going to come on as well. So Harith Kanadi, back from injury. He looks to be like one of the players who's being replaced. Harith Kanadi will be replaced by Chris Van Huysen. That may well lead to Van Huysen having to take on some defensive responsibilities. We'll see how Norali changes that around. And Convalius will join him. He replaces Faris Farhan, who didn't have a terrible game by any stretch, but another player that's been in and out the side, fitness and form a concern. So Convalius, who scored all those goals, an incredible goals to game ratio in that spell with Bali in Indonesia, coming to the tail end of his career now. I think he views this as one final stop off And bearing in mind his future remains a little uncertain, it'll be interesting to see if he can add to that one goal he got, and what a goal it was here against the Young Lions earlier on. So are you surprised that Faris Fire made way for Convalius, or was that the natural change in your eyes, Roshan?
No, I think that was going to be one of the picks with Harit as well. We touched on the fact that he perhaps wasn't fit enough to go the full 90 or to go more than a half. Being an under-23 player as well, just had to fulfill the requirement of playing at least in that first half. So it was always going to be, if the game was hanging the balance like that, that Harit would be one of the players coming off. And then you need to try and figure out how to balance the rest of your squad. And Convalius was always going to come on for one of the other senior players with Faris Farhan. There's been a change in shape as well, it looks like here initially. They've gone into a back three, Barry Maguire alongside Yuki Ichikawa.
Straight away, Tomoyuki Doi at the other end, nearly gets the keeper, comes and spills it, and Tomoyuki Doi goes down holding his ankle, and now Barry Maguire getting in muddle with Sanders Surajit as well. Well, Hougang quick off the traps there, and Tomoyuki Doi within a whisker. I think Sanders Surajit, although it wasn't convincing, was very brave, and now the keeper's gone down with a delayed reaction, because that could have been very nasty, Roshan Wright.
Yeah, it could have been. Again, quick early ball over the top into the run of Tomoyuki Doi. And Sanders, I think to his credit, read the situation well, had to come out. And just have a look at his starting position here. Just identifies when he's perhaps got to come out here, and he does really well there just to get it away from danger. And that's a bit of a mix-up with Barry Maguire, a bit of a miscommunication there.
If he'd have hesitated any more than that millisecond he did initially, he committed fully, which got him there first, just before Tomoyuki Doi. If there'd been a fraction of a second, he would have probably found himself marooned, and Doi would have just slid down under him or past him. As it is, the keeper's done well. Let's hope he's okay. Should point out, obviously, that one of the reasons for Sanders Surajit's inclusion, not wanting to be cynical or anything, of course, is he does fit into that under-23 category. They have got the experienced Zainul Ghulam on the bench, and I think the thumbs up just came from the physio there that he is going to be okay, but that could have been a disastrous restart for Geylang if they'd have gone 3 down right out the traps. I mean, they've got to score. I mean, it's like stating the obvious, Roshan, but they've got to score next, you fancy, to get anything out of this game, right? They can't afford to go 3 down. There's no way back then.
Yeah, I would think so. But again, it's a great example there of Hougang, how they're just trying to keep things as simple as they possibly can. And it doesn't look like Sanders is going to be able to actually continue here.
Well, let's have a look down to see if Zainul Ghulam is...
We've just given the signal there. We've just seen
he's
Ichikawa give the signal, and the physio as well give the signal that he's not going to be able to sort of carry on.
He's tenderly moving around on that ankle, and you can't really be taking any chances. And yeah, he does look down for the count, and it's not like an outfield player where you can just play on with 10. I know Noor Ali's been creative with holding out to a half-time before making a substitute before, but they're going to have to make a change here. I think referee, taking it into account, is just giving them some extra seconds. Because, of course, if they do have to make this change, that's all 3 of their substitutes used with a full half of football still to come.
Well, the contact is what happens there. It's a knock that he takes. Not here. I think it's the first one that he takes the contact from Tomoyuki Doi. He's got to do his job there, Sanders, and he does it very well. It's unfortunate that he's picked up an injury. And hopefully it's not something that's going to affect him in the longer term, because he's someone with good potential to develop. I know Noor Ali was impressed with his performance in the last game against the Lion City Sailors. Impressed enough to give him a start in this one as well, and he's actually done pretty well in this game.
Changes coming. Zainul Ghulam is coming on for the young keeper, Sanders Surajit, who has conceded 2 today like he did last week, but at the same time has made a couple of good stops, and it may just be that in injuring himself, he has just about kept Geylang in this game. So Zainul Ghulam comes on, and there's a stretcher which you never like to see just out of your camera shot there, taking poor old Sanders Surajit. That could have been ankle ligaments, could have been anything. Let's hope he is not as badly injured as unfortunately it does look. You can see the stretch there in the right hand corner of your screen, and again I mentioned it, Roshan, not that they've got too many other options on the bench. Obviously they've got Ikram Rifki as we have a look at Sanders going off, but now Noor Ali's hands are tied, and he can't afford any other players going down, and that's also got to be a concern. Maguire, Zainul sends it high. Amy's under that, and intelligently just managed to use his body to shield the ball from Nazrul, and he's going to get this back, Amy. Now, can Amy get there before Maxat? Maxat drifts off. That's allowed Maresh to come through. Back to Amy. They're getting each other's way, and Amy nearly to Convalius. Might come out to Elijah Lim, who doesn't get a proper connection.
Yep, shot that was blocked off by Maxat in that situation. Looked like a promising attack down that left-hand side. Amy was just looking to link up with Moresh. I wonder if Amy could just have tried to perhaps bend the ball towards that far post. Or let's Geylang again.
Lovely pass. To Moresh goes down. They want a penalty there. When he went down and got straight back up into Moresh's defence, he didn't seem to be appealing. There was a slight reaction from you in the commentary box. We'll get to that in a minute, because up the other end, offside flags up against Shawal Anwar. You jumped up initially like you thought that might have been a penalty, Roshan.
I thought he might have needed to stay down there, Amy. I'd love to have a closer look at that on the replay once again, but in real time, from the position that I'm at here, I thought he takes contact from Maksat there. I thought he gets kicked by Maksat. Referee's just not convinced at all. He says play on. It looked like he got kicked in the rib there. And I mean, Amy's not complaining about it, but if there was contact.
Now, Roshan, you need to sit down. I've got some news coming through from Jalan Besar. Latest score, Lion City Sailors 0, Tanjong Pagar United 1. Jags lead the billionaire boys of the Sailors 1-0. And it's Shodan Ishikawa who has got the breakthrough for Tanjong Pagar 2 minutes into the second half. So drama all round the AIA Singapore Premier League this weekend. Here's Elijah Lim. Haven't yet really seen Convalius, but we have seen already indications that Convalius now occupying that leading line up front is going to give Moresh more space and time to work with. And here's an example of just that. Moresh driving through, Convalius ahead of him. Moresh, well, he took a push there, I think. There was a whistle for the foul by Norfowl, and here's a set-piece opportunity. Now, I cast my mind back to that game at Hougang Stadium last season where Chris Van Heusen scored a free kick direct from an identical position. I don't think he's going to try and do the same here. Look, they're bringing that free kick forward. Now, this will put it into sensible shooting range.
Well, he's left it to Isdin.
Well, Isdin's got that right foot, so he's in the right position to try and curl this in. The one thing you do gain from taking a shot from this range, if you get it on target, you've always got the chance that the likes of Convalius, Maguire or Moresh might get on the end of it following up. So Isdin is over. Isdin crosses it in, looking for a green head, gets one, and it's just past the post. Not a million miles away, at least it's an effort on goal for them 6 minutes in.
There's Faisal Roslan there with the header. He's enough free kick put into the box by Isdin in that situation. Right on the head of Faisal Roslan. He's just trying to look for a teammate there at the back post. He's got 3 Geylang players to aim for.
So Hougang contemplating the short goal kick routine, but with Moresh, Amy and Convalius lurking, they decide against it, send it long. Barry Maguire's going to get ahead on this. Barry Maguire getting his head to it before Norfolk. Now Maguire again. They've got a bit of a swagger now, Geylang, but Maguire's coughed up possession in a dangerous piece of real estate. Tomoyuki Doi threads it through to Idraki, and that is a sensational covering tackle by Faisal Roslan. He had to be spot on there, Roshan. If he makes contact with man and not ball, that's red card territory.
It's really well timed by Faisal Roslan. He had to be alert to that.
Oh, Convalius with a flick on, but Amy just won't get there. Business picking up.
Well, that's what you want from Convalius. You want him to be able to win those flick-ons for you. And then you've got that runner. Either it's Moresh or it's Emi Reka in that situation.
Look at that from Kaiju Yamazaki. Created space for himself brilliantly, and that's going to be a yellow card for Elijah Lim, I fancy. Is he going to get away with it? It was a little bit cheeky there. I think he is going to just escape the yellow card, but I think Elijah Lim knew exactly what he was doing there, Roshan.
Interesting one there. The referee's decided to keep his card in his pocket on that occasion. Kaiju Yamazaki just driving towards goal, and Elijah, there was
it's a yellow card.
It's a cynical challenge.
He's got away with one there.
He's definitely gotten away with it.
Maybe it's that angelic face he has that, who sir, me sir. But what they haven't got away with is the fact they have presented Hougang with a free kick, and bearing in mind everything he touches turns to not gold, but goals.
I think the Hougang bench as well believe it should have been a yellow card there. Talking to the 4th official.
Have a look here at Tomoyuki Doi. His 13th goal of the season. Is it going to be unlucky for some if it comes now? It'll be unlucky for Geylang. Tomoyuki Doi taking a deflection off the wall that did its job. Not entirely convinced it was 10 metres away and behind for a corner ball.
Brilliant. I love it when a wall does its job. Standing up, facing the ball, taking the hit. I've seen it too much, you know, millionaire footballers.
Yep.
turning their backs on free kicks coming in.
The development of the
afraid
game,
to take the hit.
You've now got players lying down so the wall can jump up as like the
Yeah,
long
and then block
barrier.
it off, yep.
Yeah. The Lion City Sailors have equalised. Tanjung Pagar United's lead didn't last long, so the Sailors are back on level terms. Sailors won, Tanjung Pagar won. That game also live on Singtel Star Hub, AIA Singapore Premier League Facebook page, and One Play Sports. Here it's Geylang International 0, Hougang United 2. Yamazaki headed away well by Maresh of all people, helping out at the back. Comes out to Hafiz. Now Kaishu Yamazaki. And Van Heusen believed there'd been a deflection there and was not shy in telling the assistant referee what he thought he saw. Hougang, of course, now won't be in any hurry to do anything. Already we've seen off 10 minutes of this second stanza. George Felipe, with his second goal in Singapore football, has got the equaliser. Managed to get a very important equaliser against Albrecht Nagata earlier this season. He's got one here at Jalan Besar in the AISPL today as well. Right, goal kick. They need to start getting that service to Convalius. So George Felipe's got his second goal of the season already. Only one for Convalius, and with that goal-scoring record he brought with him from Bali. That wasn't the return, I don't think, the Geylang we're looking for, but he's certainly got ability, as he proved with that goal against the Young Lions. Maguire back for another goal kick. Not entirely sure the short goal kicks are the future for them here. They've got Zainal now rather than Sanders, and Sanders was doing it last year as well, getting plenty of distance on his clearances. See what Zainal can do with this. And it'll reach halfway where Convalius waits. Max that into the back of him. It drops to Maresh. Maresh looks up. Amy's there, as on the overlay is Van Heusen. Van Heusen, Darren Tay lurking on the back post as well. Darren Tay! He just got there, you know. I think all the way in flight, he didn't believe he could get to that, and when he did, it shocked him, Roshan.
I was surprised that it made its way all the way through to Darren as well. I mean, you have a look at this cross, and it doesn't look like a great cross, does it? Ridwan gets caught underneath it, perhaps a little bit of thankfully for him, Farhan Zulkifli's on hand there, just to try and put Darren Tay off a little bit. Would have liked to have cut that ball back into the support arriving into the box.
Get the feeling there's more goals in this game, don't you, Roshan? The way it's going this second half.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you've got a situation here where Geylang, again, as I say, having to be the side that's chasing the game, and Hougang can sort of time their opportunities and look for these openings that will show up. And Geylang will have to push the tempo here, and you can see it with the pressing. They're looking to try and be aggressive when they can here.
One thing I will say about this SPL season so far, we've seen some teams have struggles with form. Lion City Sailors, of course, had their ups and downs, and free kick goes the way of Geylang there. But no team looks like they've, you know, lost faith in their manager. No manager so far this season looks to have lost the dressing room, as we have a look at Maresh being bundled over by Nazrul. That was quite an industrial challenge, Roshan. Yeah,
just I thought initially it looked like a good old shoulder-to-shoulder challenge, but just on that replay, they're just going into the back of Maresh slightly. He's going to take accept the invitation to go down and win aside a free kick here.
Now, Van Heusen got 2 goals against Hougang last season. Now would be a great time for him to get his first and of course his first against any team so far. Van Heusen was that free kick where he was looking for a flick on from Amy. But they've come up with this, and if they break at pace, Hougang, they'll catch Geylang short of numbers at the back. And that's a lovely ball through. And they're in business with Idraki. Look at the space in the middle. Oh, he's blasted over. It came what looked gift-wrapped for Norfolk, and criminal miss from there, Roshan.
Big chance, yes, to get that one at least on target, Norfolk. They do everything perfect here except for that finish. The timing of the pass out from Farhan Zulkifli, hangs onto the ball, waits for the run of Idraki. Idraki with an early first-time ball, plays it in front of Norfolk as well, so you've got that momentum of the move carrying on. You can see Clement knows as well how big an opportunity that was for the third goal.
It's not exactly Roddy Rosenthal for Liverpool against Southampton, but not far off it. And what about that pass from Idraki? Again, one of those things that looks so simple when you're watching it, but it was pin perfect, that pass, wasn't it? No excuses for Norfolk. It's just a terrible miss. Right, another player down here. Noticeable in these humid conditions of the kickoffs now reverting to 5:30 after the fasting month saw the games kick off in Singapore at 8:30 local time, that players maybe just readjusting to these more humid conditions at this time of night, as the Lion City Sailors have come from behind to lead at Jalan Besar. Now Lion City Sailors 2, Tanjong Pagar United 1 in the other game going on. Confirmation of the latest Sailors goal scorer to come. George Felipe is already on the mark for them with his second of the campaign. Well, with this stoppage, I can see Maresh deep in discussion with the bench down there for Hougang. Of course, there's no more options for Noor Ali in terms of the subs bench. He's used them all as...
Well, Farhan Zulkifli's just gone down on the left-hand side.
No one near him at the time.
No one near him yet. Perhaps a bit of a strain as well. That's one to keep an eye on. Just trying to stretch it out, see if they can get him to continue.
Well, in contrast to what Noor Ali's done with his bench and been forced to in the case of the keeping change, he hasn't gone to the bench yet, Clement Teo, so he's got 3 pairs of fresh legs to bring on and some experienced names there. You mentioned Afiq Noor, obviously Anders Aplin, Sharil Ishak, Shafiq Ghani. You know, an experienced bench for Hougang to call upon here, as Farhan Zulkifli may be okay to continue, but will have to go off before he comes back on.
Yeah, he's got the thumbs up. It's good to go. It's great to see.
Nasrul with the throw for Hougang. Chances are starting to come a little bit thicker and a little bit faster than they did in the first half. I've got the shot count at 8 to Geylang, 9 to Hougang, but Hougang continue to look the more dangerous. Can that change now? Isdin. Well, I think the idea was to try and get Convalius in the end of that, and more by luck than judgment. He might have done just that. Maresh can bring this down. Maxat is all over him. Maresh needs to do something special here to create the tournament space for a shot. He very nearly does, but look how disciplined Maxat is. He's standing up. Silvano can't get there. Elijah Lim on the edge of the area and blasted away. No nonsense from Lionel Tan. Maxat's doing such a good job of keeping Maresh quiet tonight, Roshan.
Yeah, you were concerned in that situation, and Mark said it was just going to be a little bit rash, but what I like about that is he was tight, but he was patient there. He knew Maresh couldn't go anywhere. Just force him away from goal. Eventually a cross that did eventually come in. Cleared away by Farhan Zulkifli. Well, let's see if Hougang, for them, one of their aims, I would think, aside from picking up the 3 points here for the win, we're trying to pick up a clean sheet. Just the 1 clean sheet in the 9 SPL matches.
That was against
so far
the 10 men of Balestier. Yakety Yak Gabriel Quack has got the go-ahead goal for the Sailors. His 8th of the campaign. This could come to Maresh. He's through now, but the flag's already up. Over on that far side, nothing going right at the moment for Geylang. Yeah, we reeled off those list of, you know, young players. You've got Irfan, who's in that position now of a transitional age group. Gabriel Quack, obviously, I couldn't believe it when someone told me Gabriel Quack, he's 30 now. He's been around, obviously, for so long, but the talent is there. Here's Hafiz. Oh, there's a foot race on here, and Hougang are going to win it. Tomoyuki Doi waits in the middle. Idraki following as well. Ishikawa with a very good header. Nice turn, Darren Tay. Wonderful work from Darren Tay. Now, what's the timing of the pass like? Not good enough to get the better of Lionel Tan. Over on that far side, they try and whisk it in, where Idraki could get on the end of this. The first touch just too heavy. And the substitute goalkeeper, if you're just joining us, Zano Gulen coming on early in the second half for the injured Sanders Surigent. Gathered well. Barry Maguire over the top, looking for Convalius. He's hardly had a kick. He certainly had his shirt tugged there momentarily by Farhan Zulkifli, and then Convalius gives away the free kick.
Need that support to arrive. He got it in the form of Darren Tay. He decided to just try and take on Farhan Zulkifli on his own.
Got lost and then brought down the Hougang man.
I think he's not happy with Darren's run there. But really, I mean, he needs to take responsibility for himself in that situation, Convalius. Credit to Farhan for recovering his position and defending that really well.
Lionel Tan's radar with that free kick is off somewhat. Here's Ichikawa. Maguire.
I think we're about to see Afiq Noor coming on for Hougang as well.
Oh, Convalius. One touch and a pass, trying to play it through to Amy Rekka, but well marshalled by Lionel Tan and friends in the defence. Yes, confirmation, as Roshan has just said, coming in, that they are about to make a change. It'll be Afiq Noor to replace Norfowl, who will be remembered in this game for that blazing over with a goal at his mercy to Afik Noor, about to be Hougang's first change of the day. Thoughts? I know obviously that miss was not going to be one for the highlight reel, but bearing in mind he's another one of those underage players. Naufal Asman, how have you rated his performance today, Roshan?
Yeah, decent performance by Naufal. He worked very hard in that first half, had a goal opportunity with that shot there. But what can happen in those situations as well? You just overthink it a little bit because you've got lots of time as the ball's, the move is developing, as the ball's approaching you. And then sometimes there's a bit of bobble on the surface. You forget your technique a little bit. You get a little bit too excited about scoring the goal, thinking already of your celebrations. You're leaning back, and then it goes sailing over the bar. But overall, decent enough performance, and I think Clement will be pretty happy with his shift today.
Ridwan with the clearance. Now, loose ball sits up nicely for Amy. Gets it to Van Heusen. Van Heusen, oh, that's a criminal pass. And look who he's passed it to, the Dynamo, Doi. Doi, ball to play. Should have played that ball earlier. Goes for the shot himself. Keeper spilled it. And that's the ball game. And would you believe it? Is that Afik Noor? He scored about 15 seconds after coming off the bench with his first touch. And it all goes back to that Van Heusen pass, I'm afraid, Roshan. That's a shocking goal to give away.
Well, talk about making an impact as a substitute. Afik Noor, full of energy, driving forward there from a deeper position. Tomoyuki Doi actually has the opportunity to play in. Shawal Anwar decides to have a shot at goal himself, but you have to question the save from Zainul here. I mean, he just bounces up in front of him and he can't sort his hands out quick enough. But you need to be palming that away from the goal. Unfortunately, gives it straight into the path of Afik Noor. And it's a very good finish from the man who's just come on. And that's it.
Afik Noor becomes the 10th Hougang United player to score this season. I'm just racking my brains. I don't think any team has more individual goal scorers than Hougang this season. Just check on Tampines. I know they've got a few. I don't think they've got 10, though. Obviously, the Sailors, Stipe and Gabriel Quack have, along with Saifullah, been on the score sheet regularly, and that, I think, might take the wind out of Geylang's sails now, don't you, Roshan?
Yeah, I think so. What was my pre-match prediction? 3-2?
3-2.
I've got the 3 for Hougang. I just need Geylang to get another 2 here.
You're claiming 50% right already. But as soon as Hougang get another one, then it goes back to 0. I think we'll get more goals here. Let's see if Geylang can make a battle of this in the last 20 minutes. Isdin. Into the air it goes. Darren Tay, who's playing more and more advanced now, and that's one of the reasons why they're looking so exposed at the back. Darren Tay's almost playing as a winger. Convalius! Might come through to Van Heusen. Back across the face. Amy! Well, Afik Noor now doing his part at the back as well. What an impact he's had in less than 2 minutes. Barry Maguire, nice touch. But what about the recovery tackle from Idraki? Well, he's given the free kick. I thought it was a good challenge initially.
I got to agree with you. I thought it was a great challenge by Idraki. And initially, Barry Maguire, lovely bit of skill just to turn away from Idraki, who doesn't give up. And that's the sort of attitude you want to see from a young player there. Have a look at this lovely bit of skill, the Cruyff turn from Maguire, and there's no foul there. Come on, Idraki. It's a good, solid challenge by Idraki.
Well, Geylang will take anything they can get at the moment. Can Isdin deliver a decent free kick here? Isdin, Ichikawa is going to get to this. He heads it across goal. Maguire is there, edge of the box. Van Heusen, can he pull the trigger? Gets it to Moresh. I'm trying to recall an attempt on goal Moresh has managed tonight. Maxat's had him under lock and key for the most part. Oh, then look at Maxat bundling through here. Oh, that's a wonderful challenge from Elijah Lim. Look at this. Elijah Lim pushed away brilliantly by Ridwan, but full marks for the hustle from young Elijah Lim. Roshan right.
Yeah, I mean, that's really good play by Elijah Lim in that situation. First of all, being aggressive here to stop Maxat from marauding forward with the ball. Just goes in hard, aggressive, picks it up once again, puts it through the legs for another Hougang player. Just trying to bend it around the goalkeeper in that situation, Elijah. And Ridwan was on hand to keep that out. Still looking to try and fight their way back into this, Geylang.
Well, they've had plenty of corners to this point. I think it's number 6 by my reckoning. Not made any of them yet. They would nearly do that. Ichikawa. How's he not bundled that into the net from there as we go to the drinks break?
Well, I think he'll be asking himself that very same thing. Ichikawa, again, the quality on that cross was delightful. And the timing of that run as well from Ichikawa, just to meet the flight of the ball.
Ichikawa a bit like Dan Bennett, isn't he, Ichikawa? It will pop up with a goal when you least expect it. He always tends to get one a season. Well, look at this. The spill from Zainul Gulam, and that was his first touch, wasn't it, Afiq Noor?
Yeah, I think it was. That's a good finish from Afiq, you know. I mean, as Zainul comes out to spread himself there, just try and make himself as big as he possibly can. That finish in between the legs, that nutmeg finish, is always on if you're an attacker, if you're through on goal in those situations. Afiq Noor, he's done really well to pick his spot.
Well, if Geylang do go on to lose this, as is looking likely, Roshan, let's have a quick chat about them now. Obviously, I don't think you can lack their I mean, it's difficult to pinpoint it. Yes, they've got good players. Maybe the balance of the squad isn't the best. They do look like they're playing and running their heart out for the manager. There's nothing about a lack of effort in them. Can you pinpoint what you think the problem is? Do you think the arrival of Abbas Saab might, give them some impetus and maybe inspire a few, or do you just think it's a simple question that they haven't got the balance in the three main departments of attack, midfield and defence?
I think it's a matter of finding the balance in this team. And again, defensively, they're conceding goals, I think, far too easily. They're making it very easy for teams, opposition, to score against them, or to create opportunities and create chances against them. And perhaps you're looking at Geylang, you're thinking, they should be the best of the rest in terms of trying to finish in fifth.
Well, they were last season, right? That's the benchmark. Is Maresh, can he finally get a shot away? Maresh, oh, he's left Maxat behind for once, but Maxat recovers well. Darren Tain out, and that's going to be deflected behind. It's not got the energy to go out for a corner, though, and it'll be picked up and brought clear by Farhan Zulkifli. He's recovered from that knock he took. Sorry, Roshan, crack on.
Well, I just think, as the league has gone on now, you've got a very clear, top half and bottom half here, and you can see in terms of the quality of the overall play as well, there's quite a big gap. There's quite a big gulf in that quality. I
was having this conversation with Sasi Kumar this morning on WhatsApp as well. I mean, that's you have that in leagues all over the world. I mean, that'll be the next thing. People will start saying, oh, the Sailors are so much better than everyone else. All leagues in the world have levels inside a league, right? You have teams, obviously we're only an 8-team league, so it's inevitable really there's going to be a top four battle and a bottom four battle. The Premier League has a mid-table battle, a top six and a bottom six really, and only a few of those positions ever seem to interchange. As more good work by, he's half on the way to the man of the match for me, Adraki. Here he comes again, and it's number 4. Well, Adraki with the assist, and they're carving Geylang up at will. Roshan Wright.
Oh, they're enjoying themselves here, Hougang. So much fun. On the breakaway, they have the pace to absolutely destroy you, and that's what they're doing here. Afiq plays a beautiful ball in behind to Adraki, and I mean, you have a look at that assist. Adraki picking up another assist in this game here, that underlapping run. And it's come about as a result of obviously Geylang chasing the game, but that change in formation as well. Barry Maguire playing on that left-hand side in central defence of that back three has been an area that they've looked to try and exploit, and it has been a weakness of Geylang International here, which, you look at the change in shape, you look at half-time being 2 goals down. Noor Ali had to go for it, he had to try and do something. Unfortunately, it's not quite worked out for them here. And Hougang, just with the way the game has gone, with the way the goals have come in terms of that rhythm, I said Geylang will have to take that risk. Hougang, they've got that pace in those counter-attacking situations, can just wait for those opportunities to arrive, and they've exploited these spaces really well.
Jackie not going to be able to get to that before Ichikawa, and now with Shawal Anwar joining the goal-scoring party, that's 11 different goal scorers for Hougang this season, and 8 of the 10 outfield players on the park for Hougang have now got a goal this season. And bearing in mind we're only 10 games in, I mean that tells you all you need to know. We pointed out that it's not through lack of trying that Geylang aren't getting results, but for Hougang, they've had their little bubbles themselves this season. The Young Lions result was a surprise. Obviously they've had some dizzying highs with demolishing the Sailors and Tampines back-to-back, but they've got a nucleus of something special here. I mean, you'd be surprised looking at this if they don't get one of those AFC Cup spots for next season, wouldn't you, Roshan?
Oh, they certainly look very good, Hougang here, just trying to maintain that consistency, which was a problem for them. They dropped points against Young Lions and Tanjung Pagar, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 3-3 against Tanjung Pagar.
That's something they're going to have to address.
Well, that's a very good point, because, if you take those drop points that I don't think anyone would have expected them to drop, they'd be near enough challenging for top spot. Never mind trying to keep up with the Stags in third. Van Heusen, Maresh, everywhere Maresh goes, either Lionel Tan or Maxat follows, and Lionel Tan gives away a free kick and then goes down holding his ankle as if it's been snapped.
He's just
two.
gone over his ankle there as he's collided with Moresh.
Oh, he's had a little... The foot got stuck in the turf just momentarily, didn't it?
Yeah, he's just come across here. Have a look. He's just come across the run of Moresh, and Moresh's left foot has actually taken out Lionel Tan's standing leg there. It looks like he's going to be all right to continue. Painful one.
So, Convalius or Isdin. I think the Dutchman might be pulling rank here, if he can pull rank over Isdin. He's himself a Singapore international, but I don't think, if truth be told, there's many more matches to come for Convalius in Singapore football. So, losing 4-0, why not give the man that you signed with great expectations at the start of the season an opportunity to show us what he really can do. This is prime real estate for a set-piece opportunity. With 15 to play, it would surely only be a mere consolation. What can Convalius do? Nothing, unfortunately. It's over the bar, and more disappointment for Geylang International because, again, I think Ridwan's had to make one save, but for all the shots they've had, Geylang, and that's now 12 attempts on goal, only 3 on target. And contrast that to the way every time Hougang get in the final third, now particularly, you think a goal's coming, right?
It's just with the spaces that are going to open up here. It's almost 3 against 3. You just have a look at the setup. If you can, I mean, we're standing in a great position here. We're at the top of the stand, so we can see the whole pitch. You can see the structure and the shape. It's almost 1 against 1 at the back in this situation. Yeah, so you've got Shawal on the left-hand side up against Faisal. You've got Tomoyuki Doi against Ichikawa. And then here, down this right-hand side, you've got Idraki up against Barry Maguire. And it's on this right-hand side with this really exploited Geylang.
Well, when they have to chase the game 2-0 down at half-time, it's inevitable there's going to be spaces in behind. I suppose the only shock, really, is that Tomoyuki Doi's only got 1. That is really the only shock. 4 goals, 4 different goal scorers. Tomoyuki Doi still will take outright ownership of the Golden Boot race tonight, unless there's some late goals from anyone at the Sailors game. Van Heusen does really well to get across in there. Ridwan punches it away. Hafiq Noor's header only as far as Moresh, who's been a little bit of a frustrated figure. We've not seen the best of Moresh today, have we?
Well, you have to say, I mean, they've managed the game really well, Hougang.
There's a thumbs up there from Convalius for that ball from Isdin. I think that's what he needs, Convalius. He's a player that if you can just get the ball to him, it doesn't matter whether he's facing away from goal or facing towards goal in the box, you've got a chance. So at least it was the right idea. Still 2-1, incidentally, to the Lion City Sailors against Tanjung Pagar. That game's also available live right now, streaming on the AIA Singapore Premier League Facebook page, One Play Sports and Singtel and StarHub. That game's still in the balance to a certain extent. This one certainly isn't. 2 goals in the first half, 2 goals in the second if you're just joining us, and it's Hougang that have been by far the more clinical here. Tomoyuki Doi and Idraki in the first half, Afiq Noor and Shawal Anwar in the second, and with 12.5 minutes to go, Idraki's put in the youngster not far off a man of the match performance here. We saw Mark Ryan Tan not last the 90 yesterday for Tampines, but put on an impressive display, as indeed did Ryan Sanazal. I know he gave away the penalty, but he scored at the other end as well. And Ryan Sanazal is even younger than Mark Ryan Tan. Here's Barry Maguire, one of the more experienced hands. To Isdin. Hougang with a flat back line of 5. I think they are listening to what you said, Roshan. They're keen for what would be just their second clean sheet of the season. And more importantly, you know, that means that they've only conceded 2 goals in their last 4 games. And that is, I don't even have to check the stats, that will be the most impressive defensive record of late in the division. And that bodes well for Hougang for this big game. And what a game this is shaping up to be now next weekend. Tampines here, and another feature game that we'll be covering, Roshan.
Well, you look at, I mean, that's going to be another big one, Patrick, but I was just looking at how Hougang have tried to reorganize themselves.
Convalius to Amy. Darren Tay. Keep an eye on Van Heusen at the far post. Lionel Tan, no-nonsense header away, and Faisal can only let it go out for a throw. Just come back to Roshan in a second after Elijah Lim, who's been one of the few bright spots for Geylang today. He manages to find Amy, turning, gets the shot away through. The defenders, Lionel Tan and Maxat, they are just so disciplined and committed. contrast the time and space that Tomoyuki Doi had in the first half to the time and space that the likes of Amy and Maresh and now Convalius they just haven't got any time and space to get shots away.
Well, they're quicker to close down. They're more aggressive in those spaces. They know that when an attacker is at a disadvantageous position, when he's got his back facing towards your goal, you can't allow him, you can't give him that time and space to turn. We've seen from Geylang, especially in that first half, opportunities, situations where Tomoyuki Doi had his back towards goal, centre-backs dropped off, Tomoyuki Doi says, fine, you're going to drop off, I'm going to turn and have a crack at goal. And, you know, it's, again, that compactness between the lines as well is something that's not quite been there from Geylang International. It's something got to address, moving as a team, trying to be compact as a team.
Maguire, Elijah Lim, can Geylang get at least a consolation on what at the moment is proving a miserable 46th birthday for Noor Ali? Isdin over the top, looking for Maresh. Again, flicks it on, but Convalius was behind him, not in front of him. There's been a third goal for the Sailors. They now lead Hougang United by 3-1, so they will stay within a point of Albrechts, which means the leadership of the SPL will go down to the last weekend of the season next week before the break.
Have a look at that back heel from Maksat there, just as Idraki goes down on the challenge of Isdin's. That guy is playing with lots of confidence, Maksat. Just that back heel there. Lovely to see.
And again, Lionel Tan and Maksat, it's all about, when you have centre-backs, it's about the pairing as much as anything, isn't it? They've got an understanding. They look like they've been playing together their whole lives. Oh, look at that pass that's going to find its way to Hafiz. And this save from Zainal is deflected out of danger, but behind for a corner.
You know what they've done as well, Hougang, just to try and manage the situation. Well, I'll come back to that. So you have a look at this replay here. I mean, had its near post covered. Zainal.
Well, now I'm afraid the game is just ebbing away, isn't it, to the inevitable conclusion of 3 points for Hougang. So Tampines pick up a victory by a margin of 4 goals here yesterday, beating Balestier by 5-1. Albrechts winning 2-1 against the Young Lions. Tanjung Pagar have got some daylight finally between themselves and Lion City Sailors, as that just goes over the bar. That would have been something else. But again, it's Doi, and that's really the only surprise with the chance that they've had that Doi's only had 1 goal, Roshan.
Yeah, you just have a look at the two players' position on the edge of the box there. One of them, Safik Noor. He's able to pick up the second ball, drills it back into the box, and Tomoyuki Doi is stretching for it, trying to get it on target. Fortunately, just connects underneath the ball there. It means it goes sailing over.
You look at that replay, and he just got goal side of Barry Maguire. That's a striker's instinct that gets you into those positions. Amy trying to bundle his way through, but Afiq Noor can try and fancy Dan it out of danger, which has not gone according to plan. Convalius back to Maguire. Van Heusen will lead this for Maresh. Convalius waits in the middle. Maresh, did he keep it in? He did, but I can only pass it harmlessly into the hands of Ridwan Barudin, who's been solid enough. But again, I've said this already, I'm just trying to rack my brains. Am I missing a save he's had to make, a save of note? Can't really think of
There
one.
was a shot from range from Elijah just a few moments ago.
Yes, that's a very good point. That was the one,
it?
wasn't it? Yep, that's the one, really. That was a wonderful play by Elijah Lim. But in contrast to the 2 goalkeepers for Geylang this evening, who've had to do plenty of work. Well, Draki, not sure the tactics there. Draki was in the technical area, trying to head of that and keep it in play as they make their second change now with
Shafiq Ghani coming in.
Shafiq Ghani coming on for Idraki, who should go off with a standing ovation if there were fans in the stadium. He's been nothing short of sensational. Take about Idraki, Adnan, another exhibit as to why the future's bright for Singapore football. If we all just pull together and stay on the same page. Isdin, oh, that was too casual. We saw one substitute make an impact seconds after coming off the bench. Shafiq Ghani trying to do the same. Zainal looking for Maguire, who just about gets something on it, and they will pick this up with Van Heusen. But Lionel Tan will get there before Convalius. Over the top, too much on that for Tomoyuki Doi. Diego Lopez, the $3 million man, has got another goal in Singapore football. He's got the 3rd for the Lion City Sailors to all but secure them the points at Jalan Besar this evening. Diego Lopez now with 5 for the season. Well, the space is really opening up now. Is this Tomoyuki Doi's chance to go to 13? He's got support with the substitute Shafiq Ghani, but Doi fancies going on his own! And that is a smart save from Zainul Gudan, that time Roshan Wright.
He's hungry for goals. Tomoyuki Doi, he sees this as an opportunity to add on to his goal tally, to pile it on. He has Shafiq Ghani in Nickers' space, although, credit to Barry Maguire, closed off that passing angle really well. Tomoyuki Doi being forced to just try and take him on in that 1v1 here. He's having a look, see if he can try and make that pass across to Shafiq Ghani. But Geylang get their bodies in the way. Yuki Ichikawa recovering to help close off that passing angle as well.
Another corner. Delivered in. And a push spotted by Nathan Chan. And the 5th corner of the game for Hougang comes to naught. Here's Convalius. Tries to find Maresh cross field. He's got Van Heusen in support. Maresh turns inside. Convalius should get to this. Narrow angle. Convalius cross to face Amy! And they finally get what unfortunately is only going to be a constant in a minute. As Wise, he's not played advantage there, and he's going to come back and book Yuki Ichikawa as well. Geylang, frustration creeping in. Yeah, quick word on Shoalan. Well, we were pleased to see him in the starting lineup when the team sheets came out, and he played his part.
I'm a fan. I think he's a very good player. He's got excellent qualities individually, lots of pace to go in behind, but also really good dribbler, not afraid to take his defenders on as well. And it's a big plus to have him in your side.
Of course, the irony is he lit up Geylang International for 5 years, didn't he, before joining Hougang. Amy Recker with what is only a consolation. Both teams now have used all 3 substitutions. I think Noor gets to that first. And there'll be no rush at all here from Farhan Zulkifli. I mean, obviously, I've really been taken by Adraki. Tomoyuki Doi, you know what you're going to get with him. He's been busy, kept working. The thing that strikes me about this performance from Hougang, though, is the team nature of it, Roshan. There's about half a dozen players that have played really well. Maresh, another target.
I just wanted to come back to, again, just before that goal was conceded.
Get a consolation goal. But you're spot on. You know, just if you compare and contrast, if we had the time and the broadcast ability to isolate the penalty area play of both teams, you know, they just haven't had the time and space, Geylang, to get accurate shots away, and that's all the credit in the world, primarily, of course, to Lionel Tan and Maksat Dak Believ, who continues to see his reputation soar. And he's a big unit now, even though he's lost that weight through the fasting month. Look at him go here, and he's already got 1 goal this season. Is he going to have a poke? Selflessly gives it to Sharil Ishak. Sharil Ishak squares it. It was Sharil Ishak that was offside, and Doi's goal won't count. That's another element of his game that I'm only being introduced to tonight, how he gets forward. He played a part with the 2nd goal.
He's reminding me of Lucio, the Brazilian centre-back who used to maraud from the central defensive positions. Yeah, he's... Sharil Ishak. It looks like a tight decision there, tight call. Maksat only now, after the move has ended, decides that he's going to go down after taking that contact from Elijah. Credit to him for carrying on the move all the way through. I mean, he's been incredible. I just love watching him play in central defense. And he's adding to his game as well. You talk about young players developing. I mean, he's a great example of that. You know, perhaps was a little bit raw last season when he first came in. But, you know, got his head down, learned what he could in training, in the minutes that he was given, and you're seeing the product of that. And, you know, getting regular minutes here. He's so much better than what they had last season with Zach Anderson, who I thought was pretty poor for them in central defense. Maksat's been outstanding for them.
It certainly has been. They fell away at the end terribly last season. Hougang had the controversy with Charlie Mackle and Zach Anderson's contracts not being renewed. They missed the last couple of games. In fact, I remember watching Hougang here against Geylang when Barry Maguire blew them away in the first half. But they're a different unit this season. Now, Ichikawa's header is very nearly short. There'll be 4 minutes added on. 4 minutes, I'm afraid, of more birthday disappointment for Noor Ali. Elijah Lim. Can they get at least another goal back? Well, you were right about the number of goals in the game if it stays like this. You said 3-2. You're just only a little way off, Roshan Wright. Over the top looking for Van Heusen. He's had an understated but decent game, hasn't he? Nazrul Nazari, part of that back line that's held up so well. Amy, Convalius, and Hughes, and it's behind him, and Sharilishak will be easily able to send that out for a throw.
I'll tell you what, though, if there's anyone in this Geylang side who deserved that goal, it's Amy. I think he's always looked very lively for them. Always working very hard in those attacking positions.
What are you thinking? We just got a glimpse of Norali there looking out. He's going to be disappointed with this because I say it's almost one step forward, two back for them at the moment. Look at that ball from Tomoyuki Doi. Perfection. And now trying to play it to Sharilishak, but it's deflected. And that'll be a corner, by the way. How on earth has Zainul Ghulam let that go out for a corner, Roshan?
Yeah, he just looks shaken, doesn't he? I think perhaps affected by conceding that goal there. He's just saying that the ball skidded off the turf. He couldn't quite read that. The moment he let that off a corner, Ichikawa just looked up into the skies thinking, oh, what have I got to do here?
So, Kaishu Yamazaki, I know he was your rise eye. I think, again, he's been part of an all-round team performance. And obviously, he's not done anything spectacular, but that's not what his game's about. He has been an engine room, he's been a constant, and he's Mr. Reliable.
Well, you look at him in terms of his delivery of his passes, looking for those quick switches, which were important to exploit spaces on the counter-attack, which is very much Hougang's game plan, I think, in this match.
That's headed clear, only as far as Hafiz Sujad, who's another player. I'm struggling to look out there and see a Hougang player that's had a bad game here.
Yeah, I think you know, you're quite right to point out that it's been a fantastic team performance.
Yeah, and it's I'm sure Gavin Lee and the Tampines squad will be watching this at home, and I'm telling you something, I'm glad we've picked Tampines against Hougang as our feature game next weekend, because that is going to be high-stakes football. The last game for at least a month for Tampines, possibly longer if the AFC Champions League goes ahead in Uzbekistan. So it's a game they frantically need to put points on the board, and they'll go into that game, Hougang, just a point behind Tampines with a game in hand. So if they win against Tampines, they'll be in front of them in the table and with a game in hand as well. And by the time Tampines come back, they could be lost. Elijah Lim. And Hewson. Final seconds ticking away here. Last couple of minutes at Ichikawa. So another goal right at the death. Spread wide by Maresh, who's not really got involved. He's been disappointing for me. Oh, that's going to fall to Amy again. Is it another one? Squares it back. From the narrow angle, decided not to go for goals. Sharilishak. Houston picks up the pieces.
Well, Kaishu just early on as well has had to adjust his position to the needs of the team. They went into a back five just to try and deal with that threat of Convalius, who was looking to attack the spaces in between.
Darren Tay looking for Maresh. Maxat to Convalius! Well, they've got one back, and if that's Silvano Convalius' last goal in Singapore football, it's a cracker. He's only got 2 in his short stint here, but that was a fine, fine finish, Roshan Wright.
Yeah, wonderful technique on that strike from Convalius. It's just a bit of a shame that we haven't been able to see much from him so far this season. But have a look at the quality that he does possess. Maksat with that header.
That's a laser-like finish.
Sets it up for the finish from Convalius. Let's have a look. Doesn't panic. Has his eye on the ball all the way through.
Now, of course, the question is, Roshan, is 4-2 a fair reflection on this scoreline? Because a couple of minutes ago, we were looking at Hougang being 4-0 up and saying, oh, they're good value for a 4-0. It's only been one team in it.
Yeah,
Does 4-2 give it an unfair reflection, or is it about right?
I think they've just fallen asleep a little bit, Hougang, over the last few minutes or so. Well, if they're not careful here.
Well, I'll tell you something, they'll be glad there's only 10 seconds left to play. Mind you, there might be more goals to come. Is there more life for Tomoyuki Doi to try and get that 13th goal of the season? Tomoyuki Doi's through here. Is there another? Tomoyuki Doi, there is!
Quality.
The Japanese Dynamo gets 13 for the campaign, and 2 goals in injury time mean we've had 7 goals in a Hougang game for the second week in the spin. It's Geylang International 2, Hougang United 5, but take a bow, Tomoyuki Doi, Roshan Wright.
Individual brilliance. Have a look here, young strikers out, how he uses his body so well just to protect the ball, shields it away, takes it away from Faisal Roslan and then drives down the middle. Have a look at this, have a look at this. He's always got his head on a swivel, knows exactly where Faisal Roslan is, uses his body to protect the ball, but that finish is pure class from Tomoyuki Doi. Absolutely brilliant, and what a way to end this match.
What a strike to wrap things up. 7 goals he's seen here after 6 yesterday. Geylang and Hougang serve up one more. Tomoyuki Doi and Idraki Adnan in the first half. In the second half, Afik Noor with his first touch after coming on as a substitute. And Shawal Anwar with his first of the season made it 4. Amy Recker got a late consolation. And then, right at the death, Convalius with his second goal in Singapore football got another one back. But with the last kick of the game, Tomoyuki Doi makes it a brace. And having got a game and 10 minutes without scoring a goal, he's back on track and he now leads the Golden Boot race with 13 for the season. It's finished here. Geylang International 2, Hougang United 5. Well, do stay with us. We'll have a quick wrap with Roshan Rai here live from our Tampines hub. Hope you're staying safe and well wherever you are. Remember to keep those masks on, and particularly with next weekend in mind, don't come down to the stadiums. You won't be able to come in. Stay at home, stay safe, stop the spread, and watch the games with us. Tampines Hougang will be our feature game next week, Roshan, and what we've just seen at our Tampines hub this weekend with Tampines yesterday and Hougang today sets that one up fantastically. A huge game for Tampines.
It's a massive game. I think for both these sides, as you say, from Hougang, they'll be coming into that with lots and lots of confidence. And Tampines as well, after the hammering of Ballistic Ulcer. Again, two sides, plenty of quality in those attacking areas. It should be a fascinating game, especially on that tactical front with Gavin coming up against Clement too.
Well, if Tampines are watching, this is what they got to deal with in the first half. Tomoyuki Doi, who was a live wire all the way through the game. Max that involved in the build-up, and then on the lean, just managing to slot it past. At that point, it was still Sanders in goal for Geylang. That was 1-0. And again, Idraki involved. What a game he's had. I'd still put Idraki as man of the match in front of Tomoyuki Doi if it was my decision to make, which it isn't. Doubling the lead just 8 minutes later again. And this time, look at that Doi with a back flick to Idraki, returning the favour. I
mean, his play in that forward line has been outstanding, Tomoyuki Doi. The way he's held it up for Hougang in this match as well. And just individual brilliance. I mean, having the presence of mind to spot the run of Idraki. Initially, that blindside run, that first goal as well, showing his quality with the finish. Geylang
finished the first half strongly, but crucially, it was Hougang that struck first in the second half. It took until after the hour mark for Afik Noor with his first touch after a bad spill for Zainal having replaced the injured Sanders in between the sticks. But Tomoyuki Doi again, I mean, it was his shot that led to the goal, the first of the season for Afik Noor. That was 3-0, and by then it was game over. But the goals kept on coming. Shawal Anwar, a well-deserved goal for him, Roshan.
Yeah, I think so. He worked really hard for Hougang in those forward positions. Always a threat for them down that left-hand side. Highlighted in the first half how they were always looking to try and get him as wide as he possibly could to provide them that width and those quick diagonals on the counter-attack.
So 4-0 game over, but there were more goals to come, 3 of them in fact. Convalius involved, having come on at the start of the second half, squares the ball for Amy Recker, who fired high into the roof of the net, so there'd be no clean sheet for Hougang. And Convalius, who didn't really get involved much in truth. I mean, it's not been a dream period for him in Singapore, but after Amy got one back, Convalius did show us another example of his quality. Not as good as the goal he scored against the Young Lions here earlier in the season, but not far off.
I mean, the technique is very good. Perhaps not the best of headers from Mark Sard as he heads it straight down the middle there. But he's leaning back as he heads that away, so he can't quite get enough power on it.
And we saved the best goal for last. I'll let you take this Tomoyuki Doi classic up to take him for 13 for the season. Convalius at one end, in injury time, 2 world-class goals.
Yeah, lovely technique from Convalius there, just with the finish. And have a look at this. Again, I love this play from Tomoyuki Doi, how he uses his body incredibly well. He's always aware of the positions that he's in. He's aware of what's around him, who's around him. And he has a look at Faisal Roslan, gets his body in the way. Let's have a look. He knows he's there, turns away from him. He gets Barry Maguire caught in a position, in a situation where he's got a 2-on-1 there because there's a runner on the overlap down the left-hand side. But that finish is just pure quality from Doi.
A tail of the tape. Look at that. 16 shots apiece. I mean, you look at those stats and you think it was quite a level matchup. And again, in a 7-goal fest, it seems a strange thing to come back to, but ultimately the difference between the two teams has been the 2 centre-backs.
Yeah, true, and the finishing quality and chance quality is very important as well. You look at that and you see 16 shots for Geylang, 16 shots for Hougang United. But what were the quality of the chances? And the chance quality is important, and Hougang created better opportunities.
That comes back to the centre-backs, because quite clearly Max and Lanatan just didn't give them the time and space.
That defensive intensity that we spoke about and that aggression, that was a big difference between the two teams. And still, you saw that difference in terms of how they closed the spaces down really well, individually and as a unit.
Second game in a row, there's been 7 goals involving Hougang. Let's hear from the Cheetahs boss. Clement is with Farah.
Well, Patrick, that's back-to-back wins then for Hougang. Clement, you must be pleased with that.
I mean, yes. I mean, the bottom line result matters, but of course, naturally, I'm not pleased with certain aspects of the game.
Well, speaking of not being too happy with that, you have no problems on the offense, but today defensively you have been pretty solid otherwise. But would you say the last 5-10 minutes you were a little complacent?
Well, I definitely think so, and naturally, we are not pleased with how we conceded, and based on what we have done over the past few weeks, and to allow opponents to score goals is not something which I'm very pleased with, definitely.
Clement, thank you.
Thank you.
Great work from Farah, as always, getting the fast reactions. I mean, a lot of these AIA Singapore Premier League managers, it's tough getting any emotion out of them. I think probably Noor Ali's the best one for getting a bit of emotion. You wouldn't like to play poker against any of them. But yeah, we're disappointed about the clean sheet.
Yeah.
But the goals are flowing. I mean, everything points to a classic with Tampines next Sunday. I keep going on about it. I'm not hyping it up. I think this is a fantastic game. Arguably, the most intriguing game of the season so far.
No, it's a game that deserves to be hyped up, Patrick. So go on as long as you like. Go on as long as you like.
I don't need any encouragement,
because there's plenty of quality again in those attacking areas. And I think Clement is, he knows that the game was wrapped up early on, pretty much at 4-0. I think what he was disappointed about, and I saw him on the touchline as well, screaming at the boys, "I've told you time and time again, get yourselves organized, get yourselves organized," and he knows that they want to challenge for bigger and better things. And if you're going to be making those sorts of mistakes against some of the bigger sides, then you're going to get punished. And I think he's got a bigger picture idea to it. He doesn't want to let that complacency seep in.
Similar thing with Tampines yesterday. They could have conceded late on as well. Right, let's get back down pitch side. Farah's now with an unhappy birthday, but I'm afraid Noor Ali with Farah.
Noor Ali, we know how badly you wanted to make things right today. Tough luck. What did you make of it?
I mean, they took their chances well. They had the 5 chances. I think we had equal chance with them. The only thing is that we didn't convert our chances, and then they took their chances well. I think we give too many easy goals this season, and this just shows another game or too many easy goals and bad defending from us lah.
It has been the story for you lately, hasn't it? But why do you feel you weren't on that level today?
I mean, seriously, I think it's hard lah. It's hard, when you come out like that, and then when you have quality players like Doi on the pitch, you give him time on the ball, he half chances is a goal for him, So I think individually we didn't handle him well in 1v1 situation. I think that cost us the game.
Now, I have to ask about Sanders. He had a great debut last week. Such a shame to see him stretched off so early in the second half. Any updates on him?
I mean, we have no news on Sanders yet. Hopefully he's okay. I think the goals that he has conceded has got nothing to do with the boy. I think he did brilliant. I think it's basically poor defending from us that we concede the goal. Hopefully he's fine. The doctors are still checking on him, and hopefully he can be able to play part of the season.
Noor Ali, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I don't want to make Noor Ali's birthday even worse, but next up for them next Sunday here is Albirex Niigata. The defending champions are the visitors. It's difficult to know what to say to Noor Ali. I mean, as we heard from Clement, no really easy games in the division, but it's going to be tough here on Saturday, and it's going to be tough for Geylang on Sunday against Albirex.
It's going to be really difficult for Geylang. It's just so tough, what are you going to do about trying to improve morale of the team as well, and trying to sort these issues out defensively. Again, you're talking about the discipline, the lack of this defensive discipline in terms of, we highlighted that aggressiveness and that intensity that wasn't there. Too much time and space afforded to opposition
and that
attackers.
was there last week against the Sailors, with arguably on paper a weaker team, which is slightly concerning. Let's check in with the results then from a fascinating match week 10 in the AIA Singapore Premier League. Yesterday, the Stags won here 5-1. Albirex winning at Jurong East against the Young Lions. Now today at Jalan Besar Bazaar. Tanjung Pagar United led early through Nishikawa, but goals from Felipe, Kwak and Lopez restored the Lion City Sailors to second spot, just a point behind Albrechts. And of course here we've had those 7 goals that see Hougang move to within a point of the Stags. The two teams clashing here in our feature game of the weekend next Saturday. Albrechts, as I said, next Saturday here to take on Geylang on Sunday. So a busy bumper weekend next weekend. Let's hope the games do go ahead. And just to reiterate, wherever you're watching around the world, do stay safe and keep those masks on and listen to what you're being told to do to keep everyone as safe as possible. Next Saturday, Sailors Lions, Jalan Besar, Stags, Hougang here. And we'll also be here on Sunday for Geylang and Albrechts. Final thoughts from you quickly, Roshan. Looking forward to next weekend. Who's been your standout here today in terms of players?
I think it has to be, from an individual level, Tomoyuki Doi. I think he's been outstanding for them. That guy's been a star for Hougang and a big difference maker for them in those attacking positions.
Well, I tell you what, he picks Doi. I'll pick Idraki. Maxa and Tam were brilliant. The midfield wasn't too shabby. Stags, the Cheetahs are coming for you. It's our feature game next Saturday in the AIA Singapore Premier League. We'll be on air from 5 p.m. Stay safe and stay well. I'm Roshan and myself. I'll see you next weekend for more great AIA Singapore Premier League action.